Asano is a normal young man. His life is turned upside down after discovering that his childhood friend is a spy along with her family, and he is subsequently forced to marry her in order to avoid being killed by her old brother. The episode begins with the students welcoming Asano and asking him to join them in football practice. Another student tells him to come to karate class with them after school tomorrow. Asano apologizes, saying he can't, as he doesn't want to bother the students. They express frustration, saying he has rejected them once again, worse than a girl pretending to be stupid. They mention studying in the same class for a whole year to get closer to each other and comment on the irony of his name meaning joy while his personality is very dark. Another student suggests that Asano may have lost consciousness from stress, having used all his strength to give them his initial response. They had hoped he would improve after all these months, finding it difficult for someone to be so shy. However, Asano thinks to himself that he's not shy, but rather happy to claim these tasks. He wants to talk to them too, but remembers something from the past. Then a girl named Yozakura approaches him and asks if he rejected someone else again. She gives him lunch, mentioning his part-time job and how he hasn't eaten much. She opens it for him to feed him. Meanwhile, Asano's friends watch from afar, expressing jealousy that a girl at school is talking to him. Yozakura then expresses her concern for him, wondering how things will end up for him. She mentions a teacher, Tanaka, inviting him to join the football team as well. Asano is surprised and asks if she is his mother. This angers her, and she tells him to stop putting on a fake face, advising him to look forward and not disappoint their ancestors. She mentions rehabilitating his communication skills and starts feeding him, which he initially refuses. Suddenly, teacher Hirokawa appears and eats from her hand, which annoys her. She reminds him of his promise not to do it again, and he apologizes, saying his body reacts automatically to her beautiful food. Hirokawa is the school principal, who became so at a very young age and is a skilled teacher. He comments on Yozakura's beautiful white hair and expresses a desire to touch her cheeks, which makes her uncomfortable. She threatens to report him if he does. He then tells Asano that if he has nothing to do, he should go to the teacher's office. Asano remembers the teacher's request and acknowledges that he has work to do, so Hirokawa instructs him to come to his office after school, leaving Asano surprised and questioning if he has done something. However, the teacher doesn't respond and leaves. Afterwards, Asano's friends come and greet him, saying they'll see him later. He responds to them, but there's a deep sadness in his eyes as he thinks to himself that he has been like this since that day. He recalls the time when he and his family were riding in the car, playing with his sister inside while it was raining. Suddenly, the car flipped over and crashed. In that moment, he learned two things. You won't know the value of something important until you lose it, and important things can vanish in an instant. When they disappear, you'll become very scared, even if it means losing important people in your life. He cries heavily while his girlfriend holds his hand, reassuring him that she'll never leave him alone. Back to reality, Asano has gone to see the teacher, who tells him he just wanted to show him his secret group, the Mutsumi secret group. Asano thinks the teacher is corrupt and wicked, feeling he should report him somehow. But when he sees the photos, there's a line connecting them. One picture was taken while they were playing, and the other when they were at the park when she was 5 years old. How can a mere teacher possess these photos? Then Yozakura, the teacher, speaks, mentioning that as long as she protected Mutsumi from the shadows, since she's attractive, she had to get rid of those annoying pests. She always took care of her. Even yesterday, when the older student insisted on approaching her, she politely asked him not to, but he tormented him and asked him forcefully not to approach her. The teacher continues, threatening Asano, saying he only left him alone because he was her childhood friend, but he now has information he can't keep quiet about. Asano finds himself unable to move, both his feet frozen in terror. Mutsumi is in danger. As the teacher speaks, suddenly this girl appears, creating a bright light in the room to take Asano and escape with him. Then we see Asano waking up, with his girlfriend Mutsumi beside him, saying good morning and expressing relief that he's okay. When he looks around, he's surprised to see these people around her, so he runs away from them and asks her who they are. She tells him it's a long story, she'll tell him later, but first, she introduces everyone. She tells him that these are her siblings. He's shocked, and she explains that this is her sister Shuon, and this is Kingo, and her older brother Shin-Su, And this is Nana. And the little dog is our guard, Giulietta. As you can see, we are a family of spies. She says, it was very hard to keep this secret from you for over 10 years. Asano is even more shocked and says, spies? What are you talking about? You can't tell me about this, she replies. We just deal with weapons and information instead of eggplants and radishes. They're pretty much the same thing, aren't they? But he looks fearful and says, they're completely different, absolutely insane. How could they be the same thing? Then he thinks he understands, thinking it's a prank. He picks up a gun and says, this is a gun. It must be a toy, and fires it. But it burns a part of his head. She says, all right, accept it. This is the truth. Then her younger brother interjects, saying, contrary to movies, this is a normal job. Even this magazine states that many suspicious individuals have shifted to this field, and there are many cheap amateur spies. That's why we didn't make much money. Our rating is 4.8 out of 5, and we're ranked first according to the reviews. There are even reviews for spies. Her sister adds that her older brother ranked first on the male spy list and is the most hated. When Asano sees a picture of her older brother, he's shocked because it's Hirokawa, the teacher at school. Her sister explains that he's the eldest son of the family, and besides his personality, he's a skilled spy in their family. He possesses everything, like physical strength in battles and knowledge. Despite being a genius, he's bound to make mistakes from time to time, which has left Mutsumi injured since a long time ago. She got the white strand of hair due to the nervous stress from that incident. Since then, all of Asano's attention has been on her, changing his name and job several times. They can't monitor her. He started interfering in her interactions with others, becoming a monster while trying to protect her, making things worse. There's information written about people. You were removed from that list because of your childhood friendship. However, he intends to kill you, because you're now a legitimate suspect. We apologize on behalf of our foolish brother. Suddenly the bell rings, and they ask what it is. They say, the devil has just entered, referring to her older brother, Hirokawa. She tells him that he's probably here to stab you in the heart. They say it's actually safer for you to stay with us. Her sister says, I've locked all the rooms in this place. This will give us some time. The other one says, I've scattered some traps and explosives. Then Fuyutaba speaks up, saying, to stop someone you can't reason with, you have to use force. We'll show our resistance here and smash him into pieces. She says his win rate was 5-1. There's an 80 to a chance that one of us will need about half a year to recover, and there's a 25 chance that this house will explode. But that's okay. We'll do some cleaning up afterward. After hearing all this, Asano becomes very confused and afraid. He says, is all this my fault? Isn't there another way? She reassures him, saying, it's our problem, not yours. Don't worry about it. Then she adds, I think there's another way for you to stay alive. He asks, what's this other way? She replies, you and Mutsumi should marry, but from the Yozakura family. There's a rule that prohibits killing anyone from the family. Your life will be safe. But her brother says that idiot isn't dumb enough to break such a strong rule. Although the usual procedure involves going to a government office for official papers and making promises in a church, the Yozakura family's procedures only require a ring ceremony. Each member of the Yozakura family wears a sakura ring, and this ring is divided into halves. When the other half is given to the partner, the marriage is considered valid. You'll become a member of the Yozakura family. Then she continues, I'm not trying to downplay the importance of this. I know you are childhood friends. If there's a legitimate partner, that idiot might return to his senses and leave his sister's problems. But these are all my hopes for your protection and for protecting my little sister. Don't you think this is a suitable choice? In his mind, he wonders about Mutsumi's feelings and remembers his family, the accident. But Mutsumi interrupts their conversation and says she won't marry us. She apologizes to her sister and says, I'm sorry. I know you're thinking about me, but you must understand that Asano lost his family in the past. He's been struggling with that pain more than most people until now. He can't talk to people, and I can't sleep because of that pain. How can we ask someone who has experienced the pain of losing family to join our family so simply? This is what I can do. Fotobai apologizes and says, that's all I can do. Thus, they reiterate their plan to crush their brother, and Mutsumi says to Asano, I'm sorry for involving you in our problems. Then we find the sisters discussing how their plan should be, and they're surprised when they see him sitting among them, asking who they're planning to crush. Everyone is shocked at how quickly he transitioned into their plan. He tells them, "I can't believe you didn't include me. You have to make your brother a part of this." Shizo asks, "Didn't you replace the wallpaper to set up the traps in the house?" Fotoba explains that it was too bothersome to avoid them, so she broke all of them. Then the eldest sister warns him, saying, "I'll warn you once. Stay away from these two?" He replies, "I don't think so. There's no guarantee he won't hurt her. It's my duty to punish those who pose a threat to her." Then she grabs him and throws him to the ground. Then their other brother, Nanao, uses his strength and delivers a powerful blow with his superhuman hand, but it seems to have no effect on him, and he begins to counterattack and defeats them all because of his steel threads. He tells them, "Since I'm busy, let's play later. Let's stop this training. Hand over this guy to me. I'll cut this whole house up just like I did with this glass." Then her sister speaks up and says that his special weapon is the iron spider threads. She tells them that while he evades their attacks by running away, she starts attacking him. But we find that he has stopped her attack and started restraining her against the wall. Then he tells her not to move too much, Fotoba, or her body will be cut into pieces. If she does that, it will be bad for her because she's using jujutsu. Then her sister Shan says that the chances will rise to 70 in this situation, so they should go and she'll deal with him. He tells her that her level is not suitable for him, Shion, and she replies that even if her level is not competitive with his, she will eliminate him. The player must enjoy the fight with all he has. Then she starts deploying all her small private aircraft and orders them to attack him, but it seems futile. After that, Asano and his companion arrive at the scene. She tells him to hide in this closet so he won't be found. She assures him that she won't go anywhere. Instead, she will protect him. Then she closes the closet on him. Afterward, we find her brother after he has destroyed the small warplanes and he's heading toward them. He says, "Okay, come here, Mutsumi. I don't want to dirty you with his blood." We find Asano behind her. Then Mutsumi starts attacking him, but he dodges her attacks. Then he removes her mask, revealing that he's Kingo, her brother. He says to her, "What a wonderful disguise, but you need to make your disguises last longer. Then you'll see the other disguised person behind." Then he gestures to Asano and says, "Hello, Mutsumi." He asks her, "Where did you hide Asano?" Then we see her removing her mask and telling him to stop, please. He says he'll stop. She's lost instead. He'll prevent her from leaving the house because the strange bugs are attached to her, which means her brother has lost and failed. From now on, he'll protect her more and more. The outside world is dangerous, so she won't leave. She won't need a smartphone because the internet is dangerous, and anything else that causes harm will be removed. School friends, games, love, everything is unnecessary. We'll get rid of them so we can live in a safe and peaceful family. When I think about it, my soul is refreshed. Then he continues, "That day in the past when I almost lost you will never happen again. I promised myself that I won't accept anyone." But suddenly, Asano opens the closet and appears before him, telling him to keep his hands off Mutsumi. However, he says that these are family matters, and he shouldn't interfere. Asano tells him that this man resembles him a lot, and he's afraid of losing someone close to him. Then he tells Mutsumi, "Let me protect you in the way your sister told us." He reminds her that she promised she wouldn't disappear. She agrees, then removes half of the ring from her hand and throws it to him. However, at the last moment, he can't catch it because her brother has activated its feature, the spider threads, which prevent him from grabbing it. Her brother says that it was imminent, and Fotoba always shares a lot of information just in case something happens. However, Asano begins to grasp the ring despite his bleeding hand, thanking Mutsumi for protecting him. He admits that he used to be a useless young man, and from now on, he'll protect her. He takes the ring, cuts the threads with his hand, puts on the ring, and promises always to protect her. It's an honor for him to be here. Then their sisters appear, but they find that Asano has put on the ring. She goes to him, hugs him, and thus they are married. He has protected her from her older brother, and now he can't kill him because he's her brother-in-law now. Then Fotoba goes to the eldest brother, Kyouichirou, and tells him that now is not the time to look disappointed. He should congratulate the young couple. Everyone congratulates them, saying it was wonderful. Then Fotoba tells her brother that he should teach him how to protect Mutsumi. And thus, the first episode of this anime ends. Let us know your opinion in the comments. Is this anime great or not? But before you leave, don't forget to press the bell button and activate notifications to receive updates on anime. The episode begins with Asano, asleep on the bed, remembering what happened the previous night and talking to Mutsumi. He thanks her for what she did for him and asks about her older brother's well-being. She reassures him not to worry about him and mentions that she will make her older brother realize the truth later because he is currently unconscious and unaware. She urges them that time is running late, so they should leave. Later, we sight him asleep on the bed, believing it was a dream, but he is surprised to see Kyouichirou ready to kill him with a knife. Greeting him with good morning, Asano, and launching an attack, Asano dodges his strike at the last moment and wonders why Kyouichirou is there. Kyouichirou tells him that this is the wake-up call for the infamous Yozakura family, reminding him that as a spy, he should sleep with one eye open. Next, we see Mutsumi preparing breakfast for Asano and entering the room to find Kyouichirou torturing him with his sharp spider threads. She demands to know what he's doing, and he explains they are practicing morning exercises. She gets angry with him and orders him to release Asano. Afterward, Kyouichirou checks his watch and insists they must escape now. He carries them and swiftly leaves through the window, only to find the house destroyed shortly after, revealing there was a timed bomb. He tells them that he'll set aside his grudge for a moment to inform them about the Yozakura's mission in life, which is to protect Mutsumi Yozakura. Then, Mutsumi takes Asano's hand and tells him it's time to go. Later, we see them in the car and Kyouichirou speaks, mentioning he just received a report from Shinzo that the bomb was planted in the kitchen. Asano questions why there was a bomb in his house, to which Kyouichirou replies that the target was Mutsumi. When asked why it was planted in his house, he answers that it's surely because of their knowledge of Asano's relationship with Mutsumi. He then shows him on the phone that their marriage is no longer a secret and has spread on social media. Asano asks why spies use social media and why they pursue Mutsumi. Kyouichirou simply replies that it's because she's the head of the 10th clan, leaving Asano shocked. Then Kyouichirou continues his speech, saying that the roots of the Yozakura family trace back to the ninja era of the Edo period. They produced generations of individuals with extraordinary powers, but in each generation, there is one person born naturally. That person is the head of the clan, the leader. They may not possess extraordinary powers like the rest of the members, but their descendants will undoubtedly inherit those extraordinary powers. Thus, only this person can pass on the genes carrying the Yozakura family's talent. Essentially, the leader passes on this talent, and the other members use their talents to protect their leader. This is how the Yozakura family has succeeded. As the legitimate leader of the Yozakura family, Mutsumi is its lifeline. However, we don't really care about our family's social status. We just want Mutsumi to live the life she desires. He tells Asano that they have discussed this matter before, and he can't do it alone. If everyone in this family is willing to put their lives on the line for the family's affairs, then he must also do his part. It's truly admirable, but why is she with this stupid boy? Then he continues saying, "You're now learning about Mutsumi's circumstances. In the end, she will take over the leadership of the Yozakura family in the criminal world. That's why she has to live a normal life now and gain an understanding of the outside world's culture. But there are those who bear grudges against her, envy us, and want to exploit us. Mutsumi is exposed to all this hatred. She always dances with death in her hands. That's why protecting her is our family's duty. So, I'll show you our craft today. This is just the beginning. This is your first task." They are surprised to be attacked by rockets from outside. They find 2 armed vehicles with soldiers firing at them. However, their car is armored, and the bullets don't penetrate its glass. Kyouichirou reassures Asano that the car is armored and then speeds up the vehicle. They find that the leader of these thieves is wielding a massive weapon and starts attacking them again. Kyouichirou speaks to the driver, asking if he can drive smoothly so he doesn't spill the tea. They find out that the one driving is Julius, the little cat. When Asano realizes this, he's incredulous, but they find out that this cat is incredibly skilled at driving and dodges all their attacks, making Kyouichirou lose his patience and start pouring the tea. He climbs onto the roof of the car, and when the soldiers see him on top, they start shooting at him. However, he deflects all their shots with his sturdy threads. Then, he begins attacking them, swiftly slicing through both vehicles and causing them to explode. Afterward, he re-enters the car and says to Asano, "Did you see that? That's our family's duty protecting Mutsumi." He then pulls out a pistol, and when Asano sees it, he is shocked to realize it's a real gun. Kyouichirou tells him not to worry, that if he kills someone, they'll cover for him, so he shouldn't hesitate to use it. But Mutsumi intervenes, telling him to stop right there, as assassinations are usually done through bombs or poison, rendering the gun useless. Asano is surprised by her words and asks if she's always exposed to such attacks. She confirms and continues, saying her older brother has now given him this task. He hands the gun to Asano, explaining that it belongs to the assassin Tamaya, who is currently chasing her and is also the one who planted the bomb in his house. Tamaya is a notorious bomb maker who has previously earned a bounty for killing some terrorists. Asano is astonished by this revelation, realizing Tamaya has helped him before, but now seeks to kill his little sister. Kyouichirou tells Asano not to underestimate Tamaya. Although he has a bad personality, he will bother him with some light bombs before finishing his task with his own special bomb. Then, he holds Asano's face and instructs him to protect Mutsumi and to take his precautions so he won't get hurt. He warns that if he wants to regret the day he was born, he should ignore this advice. Asano realizes that this is the start of his first mission, to protect Mutsumi. Later, at school, Asano rushes ahead of Mutsumi to check all the areas of the school for any bombs or traps. When students see him, they're surprised because it's unlike him. Then, his friends see him and greet him, asking what's wrong with him, if he's in a bad mood or something. They comment on how strange he looks today, finding him genuinely terrifying. Later in class, Asano announces that he didn't find any bombs in the classroom and begins searching everywhere. He's surprised to find a tweet from the bomber Tamaya, stating that the second bomb is in its place. But as he looks at his phone, a ball hits him in the face, followed by losing sight of his friends. Worried, he wonders if they're okay, but then he's startled to see a ghostly figure in the school, prompting him to rush towards it. However, he finds the teacher, who asks him what he's doing there. He replies with nothing and then leaves. After that, we see Mutsumi and her friends eating. Asano thinks to himself, Mutsumi made me change my mind about many things. She doesn't eat anything given to her immediately, and she tries not to walk alone anyway. These precautions must have been ingrained in her throughout her life. She's been struggling all this time, doing all of this by herself. All I ever thought about was myself. I didn't fail just in understanding, but also in supporting her. Later, Asano's friends come and give him a piece of chocolate. He takes it without blushing or feeling embarrassed, surprising them. They comment on how unusual it is since he usually sweats or blushes when they talk to him, or when he loses consciousness. He does start to feel embarrassed afterward, and asks if they want to go to the nurse, but she's absent today. He thinks to himself that he can't lose consciousness, especially for the sake of his wife's safety. Later, we see him unconscious and beginning to wake up, with Mutsumi beside him. He tells her that the nurse's room was closed, so he went to the vice principal's office. She thanks him for protecting her and mentions how he was talking to people since yesterday, which is unusual for him. She admires his progress, saying that although they're small steps, she believes he's improving. Asano asks if she's satisfied with him, admitting that despite knowing her since childhood, he had no idea of the burden she carried until now. He confesses that he can't even take care of himself properly, and that their marriage only happened because he selfishly wanted to protect her. Mutsumi scolds him, saying he's too negative and that he misunderstood. She chose him, not the other way around. Despite his family being chaotic spies, and with the danger that she might die at any moment, he still cares about her feelings. She thanks him for marrying her. Later, they hear a whistling sound, and Asano realizes there's a bomb in the room. It explodes, shocking Asano's friends, who assume it's just an experiment in the lab or something similar. We then see Mutsumi's siblings watching the explosion, wondering if Mutsumi will be okay. After that, we see Asano and Mutsumi, who managed to survive the bomb. Asano wonders how the perpetrator knew they were in this room, as they came here spontaneously. But then he remembers that since they know about his relationship with Mutsumi, they also know about his fear of people, so his coming here would have been expected. Just like this morning, they anticipated his movements to target Mutsumi. Then, Asano is surprised to find a small bomb attached to him. The voice tells him, I am indeed the bomb that will kill Mutsumi, and he realizes there are only 5 seconds left until it explodes. He looks at the door and finds it closed. So, he quickly goes and throws himself out of the building, saying, this is the only way. I'm grateful to end my work early. But at the last moment, Kyouichirou comes and saves him. He explains that the spark, Tamaya's small bomb, is lightweight but powerful. However, it has 2 flaws. It takes several hours to charge itself using the target's body heat, and its design is very simple, making it easily stoppable by a thread. He thanks Asano and tells him, "Well done for your observation. As a reward, I'll tell you this, in this world, you may doubt yourself, but there's one thing you can trust, and that's family. Yes, I want to kill you, but I won't let you die until I do. So, you can put your life on the line and give your utmost effort for our beloved Mutsumi." He then tells Asano that he'll pull him up now, but if he accidentally slips and falls to his death, it wasn't intentional. Afterwards, they ask him what he'll do with the bomb, and he replies that he'll return it to its owner. Then, their siblings enter with the owner of the explosives. They say they heard the bomb sound and came to this place. Then, they throw him to the ground, and Kyouichirou wraps the bomb around him and throws it away, causing it to explode. Everyone watches this scene. Strangely, as Tameya dies, he tweets, "I've been blown up now, and it seems I'll die." Thus, the second episode of this legendary anime ends. But before you, don't forget to activate the bell notification and hit the like button to receive updates on future episodes. The following day, Taiyou experiences a nightmare in which he is unable to fulfill his duty to protect Mutsumi. However, upon awakening, he realizes that this was all only a dream. Subsequently, he begins to recall all that transpired the previous day. When Taiyou gets up after the bombings, he steps on Goliath's ta'al by mistake. As a result of his carelessness, Taiyou suffers the consequences. Mutsumi bandages his arm and tells him that he had asked Goliath to watch out for him, as his brother might attack him again exactly like that. Taiyou becomes concerned when Masami begins to caress Goliath with a particular force. However, she reassures him that Goliath would never attack her. Taiyou then goes to Futaba and asks her to help him become stronger, and she gives him assistance right away. They had originally intended to train him gradually, but Taiyou says that this approach is ineffective after learning about it. Futaba spins the boy at the speed of light and explains that the process is slow, but he wants to get stronger for her because he nearly died in his previous attempt to save Mutsumi. His evolution will take even longer for him, being a human and her having the Yozakura talent. Having said that, Futaba makes it apparent that he needs to control his agitated feelings. Ultimately, if he keeps them, he won't be able to make it through the training. Taiyou becomes excited when she suggests doing a full workout Yozakura style with him because she thinks he can benefit from his intense feelings for Masami. But Futaba places a condition on the proposal. Since his house was totally destroyed by bombs, he will need to live in that mansion for a month in this instance. Consequently, they will take a 1-month break before he actually starts. Taiyou chooses to approach her after his training in order to express his gratitude for her willingness to mentor him, but he gets into trouble for doing so. Futaba apologizes for not alerting her sooner and clarifies that the mansion is full of traps and is used for espionage training, so living there can be considered training in and of itself. Taiyou must thus master these basic traps as soon as possible. Taiyou avoids being pierced by one of the traps, but manages to hold on before being pierced by the blades beneath his feet. Futaba tells him that he intentionally set off an explosion in his room the following day, warning him that if he doesn't, he won't be able to progress for full training and that he will never be able to get up quickly enough to do so at any time. Taiyou is astounded that Mutsumi can live there without experiencing such difficulties. Mutsumi claims that the house's traps don't work on her, and Cheyenne clarifies that anyone who successfully enters the house is likewise safe from attack. Taiyou is perplexed to hear this, so Cheyenne goes on to explain that since the computer controls the house's traps, if he can successfully avoid them all and prove that he is a more skilled user than the computer, he will be granted the ability to turn the traps on and off. Cheyenne describes this benefit as a bonus, if that makes sense, after passing every test he receives. But for the time being, N informs him that he needs to eat in order to stay nourished, but make him gain. He tells him there's a certain amount of poison in the food, tolerance against poisons, at which point Taiyou frantically makes his way to the restroom, which Cheyenne explains is necessary in order to enter the space. He needs to unscrew the lock and enter a password that is, incidentally, changed once every minute. Thus, after saying good morning to Mutsumi, Kyo returns, treating her like a cow and complimenting Taiyou as well. His demanding daily life in the house of Yozakura begins when he asks for assistance to use the restroom, and he progressively gains proficiency in various domains after that. He tells that he received a very heavy shirt from the Yozakura as part of his training, But the boys in his class see that he is obviously exhausted when he gets to school, as if he were about to have a seizure. He then returns home exhausted. When he sees that Misami is working late, he quickly gives her a blanket welcome. He uses this as an opportunity to practice shooting at his side outside the house, but he discovers that even up close, his aim is terrible. After giving it some more thought, he realizes that even turning on the TV is a very challenging task, so he returns his focus. Upon arriving at the mission and deciding to attempt a few more shots, Misami approaches him and suggests that he take a short break from his training. After they enter for tea, Taiyou apologizes to Misami for waking her up with the gunshots, and she asks what happened. She tells him not to lie to her because the Mutsumi herself knows that she is the reason behind all of his effort, even if he wasn't trying too hard. The boy chokes on his tea upon hearing this. Taiyou responds that this isn't quite accurate, but Mutsumi reiterates that the boy works extremely hard because she remembers them from their early years and claims that they were never that close. But that all changed the moment they started elementary school together. When he thinks back on that time in his life, Mutsumi recalls the issues his silver hair caused him. When several girls came up to her and asked if Mutsumi was trying to draw attention with his unusual hairstyle, he replied that his hair color had vanished. However, one of the girls loses her cool and claims that coloring her hair was all that was required. Once more and the issue would go away. But Taiyou intervenes, taking the scissors from the girl's hand and starting to cut his own hair. Mutsumi tells him to stop, and the girls, alarmed by the spectacle, leave. Taiyou then explains that his advisor advised him to cut his bangs and facial hair. The next day, he returns to live in the house, dodging all the traps. When practicing his shot again, Shinzo notices he's holding the gun the wrong way, so he corrects Taiyou's posture. For his part, he says that was the best time to do this. As for her, he asks Misami to keep him informed in case other people are threatening her and returning to the present. She explains that he has been protecting her since that time. Lasat and clarifies that you should hold the gun at your highest point on your body. In this manner, both during training and after firing, the weapon will not recoil as much. In addition, Shine gives Shinzo the performance data that Taiyou had asked her to examine. Taiyou thanks them both. Shine shares Taiyou's latest triumph, stating that he can now turn on the TV. However, he expresses interest in Shinzo's peculiar behavior, and Cheyenne responds by telling him that he is the most Shinzo and lazy of all the brothers, which explains why he spends most of his time living locked away in that garbage can. Shinzo argues in his defense, however, that Cheyenne only has a room. She then shifts the topic and recalls that Taiyou needed to go talk to Ten about how to handle the poisonous gases, so he rushes in her direction. Then, as Cheyenne observes that Taiyou is progressing faster than usual, indicating that he has a lot of talent for that, Shinzo remarks to his sister that Taiyou really does have a lot of talent. Meanwhile, Kango gripes to Futaba about the weight of the books. She says that he is carrying because she didn't wash the dishes that morning and is punishing him for continuing. After discovering Taiyou's training, Kango makes an attempt to break free from his commitment. But as soon as he tries to talk to him, Futaba stops him and tells him to keep up with their responsibilities. The following day, Taiyou successfully deals with the laser trap. A little better, he arrives at the kitchen swiftly. Misami is impressed by how easy he is finding it to navigate the hallways and stairs, and Taiyou explains that this is because he has been there for 3 whole weeks. However, after consuming the poison milk, Taiyou rushes to the restroom once more, and Cheyenne observes that despite having been there for 3 weeks, he is still having trouble opening that door. When Kango and the others approach him, Taiyou Fallen is lying on the ground, breathing heavily. The boy wakes up in a room under the supervision of N, and they discover that Taiyou has passed out from a fever brought on by her extreme mental exhaustion. Futaba continues by saying that she has already alerted Mutsumi to his predicament. So to Taiyou to heal as quickly as possible, he must simply rest. Though Futaba had proposed to him, he claims he is alright and will stay in the house until next week. She clarifies that this is how he is going. He has no chance of survival at all, and Futaba goes on to say that extraordinary effort is required in order to achieve extraordinary results. She also bears her other brothers in this for devising this suicide mission for him, but Taiyou responds that it wasn't his fault. Everyone tried to stop him from doing that, but he refused to give up on trying his hardest, even though doing so might endanger his life. Taiyou wanted to be able to protect Mutsumi as soon as possible, and when he heard this, Futaba struck him. Fad adds, If he is genuinely eager to protect me, he has to understand that your training process will be slow and without shortcuts. He is essentially saying that he won't be able to protect her if he can't first protect her. That being said, she gives him an old book of hers and asks him to study it so that he won't be completely incapacitated and do nothing for the rest of his life. When Futaba leaves the room, she realizes that the boy is not only alive because of his skill or diligence, but also because of her emotion. From this, she concludes that the boy's love for Mutsumi must be on the verge of madness. As Taiyou recovers and eventually opens the bathroom door, everyone celebrates by puking, and she begins to think that the boy might be a good fit to keep her sister safe. However, after observing all of this fervor, when Kyoko remarks that there's no need to celebrate, his wedding ring suddenly begins to glow. Futaba explains that this is because the object is simply responding to the house's wave magnets, indicating that the house has finally recognized him. As a member of the Yozakura family, she approaches him and expresses her gratitude for all of his efforts over the past month. Taiyou is thrilled to hear that she will be giving him intense Yozakura training. Taiyou's life becomes even more complicated when Shinzo decides to make the traps more difficult. However, Shinzo appears to give her a 100-kilogram shirt. Go from your like and I'll see you later. The episode begins with Asano enters the kitchen attempting to put on her underwear, while Mutsumi cooks breakfast once more. She gives him a strange look and tells him that regardless of how unsettling his strange fantasies and desires are, he should be concerned about them. She refused to get rid of him. He says he just wants to practice his disguises and that this is all a misunderstanding. Unexpectedly, a stunning blonde woman asks if everything is okay as she appears in the doorway. While Asano is unaware of her identity, Mutsumi recognizes Keino's disguise right away. He tries to creep Ano out by smothering him right away, but Misami tells him to stop right there and leave him alone. Later that day, he meets up with Shinzo, who is about to embark on a solo mission. He also shows up in the kitchen and asks Misami for a farewell kiss before he leaves, but this is too much for her, and she smacks both Kango and him on the head. When Oano inquires about the mission's level of difficulty, he responds that it's low since all he needs to do is gather information about a counterfeit money operation, which shouldn't take too long. Asano wishes him luck and walks off with Misami to their school. On the way there, a ball that is moving quickly nearly runs Asano over, but he doesn't even look. Later in the afternoon, he snatches the ball and tosses it back with amazing force. When Mutsumi informs him that he is unaware of it yet, they both go to the roof to eat lunch. But because of his training, he now walks so quietly that people are beginning to refer to him as a ninja. She then asks if he is available after school today since she needs help with her work. Sun clearly agrees and returns home, where she sits down at her desk and begins stamping a mountain of paperwork while giving Asano instructions. As he brings in more and more documents, which she analyzes quickly and discovers errors and other issues in, she makes Asano her pawn and instructs him to send emails to investors to increase their stocks, telling Asano to disregard the fake divorce papers he made in an attempt to end their marriage. She becomes enraged and drags Ano into Keino's room after noticing that one of Kango's reports appears to be complete. He has done this multiple times. When Misami tells him to come out, he appears magically on top of his clove mound, and she instructs him to finish writing his report and turn it in right away. The room is so full of his clothes that they are unable to see anything, not taking her seriously. Kango tells Misami to quit behaving like a grandma and just begins to eat his sushi. After realizing that he is in danger and jumping out of the mound to escape the room, Kango becomes enraged with her and takes her handcuffs to give him a Yakira-style punishment. Asano is quicker and instantly blocks Kango's path because of his training, but Kango is more cunning and makes him lower his guard by turning into Misami. Then, as he rushes outside, a furious Mami sets off the house's hibernation mode, totally cutting it off from the outside world and causing enormous walls to burst forth all around. She informs Asano that once this mode is turned on, there is no way out of this house. Shinzo, meanwhile, crawls through the air vent and sees the massive operation, headed by a millionaire who has already distributed 60 of his counterfeit money. As he passes through the ducts, he learns that the individuals working with them are highly intelligent individuals who created all of these safety precautions. Wearing his Apple Vision Pro, he dissimilarly behaves in real life. He can see through the containers to find a bunch of fake money, which makes his glasses useful. After lowering the hatch, he discovers a hidden case that he can break into and obtains a framed photo of a potentially crucial note before he can take any further action. However, he starts to flee back at the Akira house as soon as an alarm goes off. Mami begins going through each of their rooms one by one. She enters her room and looks for his signs with an infrared device, but nothing is detected. Asano is strange in how many hobbies she pursues, while he examines the most recent painting she created. They next go to Shin's room, where she is engaged in a physically demanding game that she is not very good at. After that, they proceed to the bucketreat's room, where he threatens to blow up. When they eventually make it to Kingo's room, if he recognizes him, they discover that Mzam's photos cover the entire space. When Asano asks Mutsumi if Kango could have escaped, she responds that it is not possible because the house is under lockdown. When Asano hears something and turns to look, the other siblings unexpectedly meet up with Mutsumi and Asano, asking if they were able to locate Kango. It turns out that Kano was hiding in the picture frame when he saw Mona Lisa's face. Asano chases after Kano as he quickly flees and turns a corner, but he suddenly screams as he falls. He's lying on the ground when Mutsumi rushes over to see how he's doing. He scratches his head, saying that Kangi threw the frame at him and fled through the wall cavity. Mutsumi shouts that he must have managed to get past the lockdown, and she furiously returns to Kano's room, promising to lift it as soon as Asano enters. However, she hands him cuffs right away, saying that she is not that foolish, and that she is aware that Kango is currently impersonating Asano. She says that since there is no way out of the lockdown, Kango must have taken Asano's place and hidden him in the hopes that Mutsumi would lift the lockdown, allowing him to flee. After admitting defeat and taking off his mask, Kango and her begin searching for the necessary paperwork. On that particular day, Asano consumes the delicious curry prepared by Misami. When he inquires about the secret ingredient, Misami tells him that it is cyanide. Asano gets sick right away and calls himself out to answer a call. When he answers the phone, Shinzo is screaming for help and is on a video call with him. He is crying that he ended up in a gunfight, but didn't anticipate there would be so many guys and that all of his bullets have run out. She informs Asano that although Shinzo is a very skilled spy, he is completely dependent on his weapons, and without them, he turns into a huge wimp. Furthermore, he is without weapons. He agrees right away when she asks if Ano can bring his weapons to him. He enters the extremely secure building and makes his way through the corridors while wearing an outfit and carrying a small bag. Sadly, he is not quick enough and is apprehended by a guard who places a gun to his head. Recalling his training, he punches the gun back and locks his arm while slamming his face. Several more guards show up as he uses his elbow hearing to investigate this. He uses his knee to slam one in the face, but the other guard catches him. When the third guard tries to stab him, his clothes deflect the blow, allowing him to punch the man out of the way and break the final guard's nuts to win, due to his astonishment. When another guard shows up, he rapidly takes the gun Shinzo gave him and fires it. A powerful electric bolt is directed towards him, instantly making him hesitant. When he eventually locates Shinzo, he grasps onto him tightly and expresses gratitude for the guns, which he keeps rubbing against his face. As more guards burst into the room, Shinzo's demeanor abruptly shifts, and he quickly gets up and shoots each one of them. Second, he leaves the room and takes care of all the goons with great ease before giving Asano the framed note. He shoots the last group of goons in midair and throws a grenade at them. As they begin to leave the building, he takes Asano with him, but Asano gets shot in the leg. He is shot by a sniper who orders Shinzo to put down his weapons as he collapses to the ground and begins to bleed out. Asano remembers that Shinzo can make anything into a weapon if it has a strong grip, so Shinzo obeys the orders to make sure Asano lives and drops the gun. He then hurls a fork at him, which he catches and fires at the sniper's barrel, setting it off target. This allows him ample time to pull his gun and kill the enemy, thereby sparing Aso's life. By the time dusk arrives, inking him for saving his life, Shinzo turns to walk back while toting Asano on his back. Thanking him in return, Asano states that he would have perished if Shinzo hadn't saved him from certain death. In the meantime, a hobo breaks into another facility and uses a hammer to beat every guard there. When they all refuse to reveal the location of their leader, the hobo bludgeons them to death while removing the picture of his next target, who happens to be Al. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for part 5, and don't forget to watch this brand new anime about a failed hero who gets attacked by a parasite and turns into a monster while pretending to be normal. The episode begins with Asano is walking down the street while talking to Mutsumi there. He sees that a car parks nearby, leaving a man who is looking at him. So Asano decides to say goodbye to Mutsumi, to hang up the call. This guy knows that he is Ano, introducing himself as the Commissioner Seiji Joto, who calls asking him to accompany him once they are in the interrogation. Room Seiji shows Sano something that was published on the dark web. It is a photo of him when he infiltrated that private property. This is what he takes by surprise. Well, now, his activities are being spread on the internet when normally all the activities of the Yozakura family are hidden. Sei also shows him that he has possession and use of a firearm, illegal entry to private property, participation in a chase on the street, and that he blew up his... But the strangest thing about all this is that he has absolutely nothing on his accomplices, even though these crimes clearly exceed the abilities of a child. So he must do things that he does not know. For example, that he belonged to a secret organization. If he has extenuating circumstances, will easily free him, and if he knows something, it would be best if he said it. Ano understands that he is proposing that she betray them all, but he immediately answers that he doesn't know anything about it. He tells her that he doesn't need to respond so hastily, asking her to drink this glass of water and think things through. Asano sees with total clarity that he places something in the glass, so he accuses him of having put truth serum there. But he clarifies that it is just the minerals and that it will do him good, something that is not convincing. Not at all healthy because of the way she responds. She suddenly forces him to drink the water, which makes him choke due to the suddenness, moving away to spit without the water, seeing him thanks to a plastic bag that he has stuffed in his mouth bearing a ninja item. Right after he tries to attack him with a hammer, but Asano reacts quickly by moving away, falling next to some black bags from which blood begins to drip. He explains that he is a drug trafficker who has destroyed the lives of thousands of people with his money and contacts. He has managed to evade justice all this time, but he has been caught. As a police officer, he does not have to protect those who break the law by declaring that and then traps Sano against the wall. He warns him that if he refuses to talk, he must interrogate his friends at school. At that moment, Ayano notices a thread hanging in the air, and with that he understands something. Then he tells Seiji that he doesn't know anything, and even if he did know, he wouldn't say anything to a sick person like him. Not even if his life depended on him. This guy likes his look, but still decides to throw another blow with his hammer, which Sano dodges and therefore ends up hitting the wall behind him. The impact causes the wall to be destroyed, and you can see that Kyouichirou was listening to them from that side with the help of his threads. What he does is approach to tell Sei that he is someone who is incorrigible, being friendly, so he doesn't ask them for an explanation, since he doesn't understand anything, and Cairo tells him that Sei was a high school classmate and how he helped him with his police investigation. He is the one who hides the activities of the Yozakura family. With a more serious look, Seiji asks her how it went. She responds that Asano did not betray his allies and did not react to their provocations, so he has achieved it. Wanting to work with him, then Kyouichirou tells him that he needs a favor, but what he does is tell him that he must go on a mission, leaving him alone to finish that matter. Asano returns to class looking quite exhausted and very sleepy, which worries Mutsumi. At that moment, it seems that and Cairo in the classroom, still being Jazz Vice Principal Q, are there. He notifies everyone that the teacher was absent today due to an urgent matter, so he is going to replace him for this modern Japanese class. Then he asks Sano, what is it? What's wrong with him? Because he looks like he can't sleep, although that question doesn't cause him any fun. As the class progresses, Asano feels that his eyelids are heavier than weights. He can no longer bear to sleep. At the same moment that he closes his eyes, a piece of chalk flies towards him at an incredible speed. But when he barely notices him, he doesn't move away. And you can see that this thing goes through the wall as if it were a bullet. And Cairo begins to talk to him by hitting the blackboard with the chalk using the Morse code. In this way, he comments that a spy must learn to control his sleep rhythm, with half of his brain asleep. Dolphins and migratory AS can remain in a constant state of alert, and humans can also achieve this with constant training. And the fact is that at the age of 15, he acquired the ability to sleep completely. Your threads will analyze your heart rate, and if it detects that you have fallen asleep, it will wake you up with a stroke of chalk, at the speed of sound, something that does not please you healthy, since that would kill you. Also speaking in Morse code, it says he can't believe that he trains him during class. Mutsumi agrees with him, asking his brother to calm down, because torturing Sano is the only thing he cares about, also using the Morse code to communicate with them. When he sees that Sano is surprised that he is Morse, he tells him that he has been part of a family of spies for 17 years. So it is normal that you know these kinds of things. On the other hand, Kiro is happy that his dear sister starts a conversation in Morse code with him, and that he adores his older brother a lot for that, but Mutsumi, all angry, tells him that he is too disgusting and overloads Asano. He also thanks him for his support, but lets him know that he will be fine, except for passing this basic training with honors. At the moment of saying that, Kyouichirou asks him for how long he will continue boasting, followed by that he places a special pill on the desk, which he hits hard with the eraser, spreading a cloud of dust throughout the room. This drowsiness drug reaches Sano and the other students, who they fall completely asleep. However, Mutsumi reacts quite quickly by putting on his oxygen mask, asking Kyouichirou to stop. He notices that San did not fall asleep, so he throws one of those chalks at him again with that enormous power. What happens is that San does not respond with a shot from his ray gun, protecting himself from that dangerous projectile. Mutsumi is glad that he is awake, although he quickly realizes that in reality he is asleep, which is why he moved in his dream, and Okiro understands that he has reached the semi-conscious state, ignoring Mutsumi's complaints, to whom he explains that he is doing this for her and for him, after telling him that he threw a large amount of chalk towards Sano, who dodged each one of them, even though he was asleep, protecting himself from some with his gun at his side. In the end, the two end up in an incessant fight, where Kyouichirou does not stop shooting him with chalk, and Asano keeps dodging incessantly when he sees this terrifying scene. Mutsumi worries that Ayano is becoming less and less human days later. She comments that this state being semi-conscious, it was just a stroke of luck and nothing has happened since then, but he is still sleepwalking, and you can see that one night he went out to walk down the hallway, scaring poor Shinzo Asano to death. Now, having a slightly strange habit more forward, Asano keeps reading a spy magazine where the subject of relationships between spies is discussed, giving as a curious fact that 90% of marriages between spies end in divorce, supposedly due to work overload. At that moment, Mutsumi approaches to give him some tea, and upon seeing her, he takes the opportunity to ask her if she is free today. He is immediately interrupted by a call from an unknown number, which he answers to see that it is Saji, who tells him that it is time to go to the mission, so he must leave immediately, sending him the address to the place where he must go and who will contact him later. After that, he hangs up the phone, and without having any other choice, he apologizes, like Mutsumi having to go on this urgent mission. The place where he is going is to the amusement park there, and he calls again to explain that a man and a woman with illegal weapons are roaming the park, whom he must find and stop as soon as their appearance continues to investigate, and that whatever happens, he must keep an eye on any suspicious person. Ending the call, Ayan is not surprised by Mutsumi, who tells him that she spoke with Sei to attend this mission. Well, if they go together, they will look less suspicious. She also shows him 3 couples that look suspicious, asking him not to worry because she also knows how to defend herself. Thinking about it, a little Sana sees that maybe this is a good opportunity to have a good time with her. At that moment, she sees that the couple behind doesn't stop flirting between the two of them, deciding to copy that, telling Mutsumi that her outfit is incredible, betting that it's easy to kick with him calmly. She tells him that's the way. It is because it makes his movements easier, which hurts Sano because he just plays along. One of the suspicious couples walks away, so they decide to follow them to see what they do. It turns out that they get on the roller coaster, and when the attraction begins, you can only see that the subject is not enjoying it. While San does not fall asleep at the end, he ends up apologizing to Mutsumi for having fallen asleep, and then they see that the couple they follow are completely cloying between both of them. So they conclude that it is an ordinary couple, and that they were only guided by the appearance they have. After that, they follow the next suspicious couple. But the same thing happens with them missing the last couple. Then they continue to the store where they enter, and to the losing sight of them, Mutsumi comes forward. However, San is not distracted when he sees that there are roses for sale, it being a good, loving gift, thus capturing his attention. Shortly after, they end up in a cafe to keep an eye on that suspicious couple, And at that moment, Mutsumi leaves to go buy something. That's when Asano hears that guy tell the woman that he wants to show her a specially ordered object. Those words seem suspicious and he prepares to take out his gun. But it turns out that this guy takes out an engagement ring asking her to marry him, which she accepts. After seeing this, Asano collapses on the table because he has been walking around like Tsumi all day and can't even find a partner armada, wanting to make Mutsumi happy, even if it's just once. Suddenly, the couple of lovebirds from which they never suspected begins to argue, a lot generating a scandal. They reach the point where the two take out some weapons and are about to shoot each other. Moments later, all the people leave the store in a hurry, and at that point, Mutsumi is forced to leave by the crowd of people. The shots begin to come out in all directions when they attack each other, so Asano ends up throwing themselves under the table on which a frightened child is. He ends up dropping his RS to the ground, and one of the bullets hit her, so she ends up damaging herself. This makes him quite angry, so without thinking twice, he draws the attention of those guys and then shoots them with his ray gun, leaving them instantly unconscious. Later, the police arrive and take them both away, and upon seeing that, CI congratulates Sano for this good work, remaining indebted to him. On the other hand, Kyouichirou is quite angry when he finds out that he sent him to an amusement park with Mutsumi-san already upset to hear him complaining all over the house. Asano and Mutsumi get on the Ferris wheel, where he asks her why she wanted to get on that attraction. A little nervous, Mutsumi answers that she did it because couples who watch the sunset from the wheel will be happy forever. It's no use to give her the rose, explaining that the shooting left her in that state, but the flower is not too damaged, so it would be a shame to throw it away. I wanted her to have a good time, to thank her for everything she does, but in the end, he couldn't do anything for her. After listening to it, saying that Mutsumi can't help but blush and all nervously tells him that she didn't expect him to be so romantic. So she surprised him a little by taking the rice in her hands and letting him know that she is very happy, thanking him. And after that, they both finish holding hands. Wow, how daring, and nothing just that. And that's how our episode ends today. To continue watching more exciting episodes, please subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. At the beginning of the episode, we are shown another spy who is doing something on the computer, and on the other hand, we are shown Sean, who is playing her video games here and doing this for 5 days. She plays video games continuously, and now it was time to sleep because she has cleared the stage. But as soon as she is sleeping, suddenly, another puppy message comes, which is a secret quest. So this secret quest is also called this. If she wanted to complete it, then she is completing the secret quest here. But here there is Kaka in the middle of it, even though she has crossed that level. And this hacker was very scared that what is coming now? The computer. Why is the error coming again and again? And on the other hand, we are shown that the monster, which has to be killed in the game, had run away, and then the scene would have been cut now. It is morning, and we are shown that Tate and Mutsumi are ready for school. And Sean comes. They look at her. Why is she sleeping? Then she says that some hacker tried to hack our computer, although I don't understand. The question is that how did that personal data come to that hacker, and where did the password come from? Because only we siblings have all this personal data, and then both of them are going to school, so they are thinking about this very thing. People are talking when Tay stops them, and we see that Needles has come in between them and is already buried in the ground. Tay says to Mutsumi, "Let's go, we should get out of here," and they run and come to an alley. If you remain hidden, then Tay is fully prepared here. Whoever comes from beyond Tay will immediately attack him, but it does not come from the front. It comes from the air and then attacks him from the air. Tay stops him, and we are shown what she is saying to this lady killer, Master Tay. "You are so powerful, so handsome, so glad to meet you." However, the Mutsumi who lives there has this attitude and this way of talking. This is the one with the anal needle. Understand the meaning. She anesthetizes with a needle, and to be correct, she is also called a manhunter because she kills a special type of man only with the help of her senses, because whichever man she likes, she first searches for him and then kills him with a needle. She kills very badly. This is a very famous Asian, because her way of killing with the needle is very cruel, and she says that when I saw you for the first time, I fell in love with you, and she tells that dark web. You are very famous. You can see that a poster of your name has also been printed. A reward of 100,000 has been placed on you, whoever kills you, and then when she hits the needle on top, this person falls down because a lot of people are behind. Everyone was lying there. Everyone wanted to kill. But this spy said that only I would like to kill you, because I love you very much, understand? And then she suddenly starts attacking and telling that I have killed you in every way. There is surveillance all around what you do in the mission. How, when you break the walls, you go back and putty on the walls. Tae was saying, how do you know about all these things? She says, because I am a big fan of yours. But he says that I am sorry, but I am married and I cannot cheat my lover at all. Then she says that you are leaving me for that naughty monkey looking girl. She starts crying and says, okay, and anyway, if your elder brother was there, then he would have stopped me. But I've already made a deal with him and I asked if I can kill Tae. And she said that yes, you can definitely kill Tae. I don't have any problem after that. She says, I want an easier way. So why is this Charo of ours who keeps giving the password of the database to this Pi? And through this Yo hacks the database of you and is very eager to kill you. Then these people come to know that if Ro is a #1 ass, she has given him the database. Then she attacks him with a needle and says that okay, we people will definitely meet back later. After killing you the next day, we are shown that she has also taken admission in the school. So here she plans to kill Tae. She moves forward and throws a needle here. Tae narrowly escapes. Actually, she had acted like this to fall. Everyone thought that she had fallen, but here she was attacking Tae would have escaped now. The lunch break is like this. Tae is very upset. He has to be very careful because needles are always around him. Whether he is in sports or whatever, the needles are constantly coming towards him, and the worst thing is that she is sitting on the seat next to him. A very dangerous attack has taken place here. She is continuously attacking it, and it is completely dangerous. Then she gets very angry, and she throws needles on everyone. Tae says, what have you done? She says, I am controlling all of them now. Then she says, let's catch Tae. Everyone here wants Tae and they catch Tae. Now Tae couldn't get away from them, and was saying how lovely you're looking, Master Tao. Oh ho ho, now you are only mine, and she was coming to attack. But Mutsumi had come in between and was saying, what are you doing? Free all of them right now. Immediately till then we are shown the same guy from behind. He comes and tries to kill this needle lady, but Mutsumi, who is there, saves her if the bullet is taken. Then here the bullet is dodged. After that the one who is determined takes out his gun and directly attacks the person, although it is an electric gun, which means electricity kills by giving a shock of 440 volts. That guy keeps falling down, and here she keeps wondering why he saved my life. Then Mutsumi is here, saving me look Tae. That means Tae too would have been happy. He would have definitely saved you, so this would make Mutsumi like an angel. She would have been watching, and like an elder sister, would have been saying how good she is. She had saved my life, even though I tried to kill her now after this. She would have been very clingy to Mutsumi and would have been saying that the taste of your ice cream was very good. It is very creamy. It is really very creamy. It is very good, and yes, I will kill Tae. He is my love, but no, I love you too. You love Tae, so confusion in the next scene. We are shown that Sean the game is made, especially for Tae. So the thing is that Sion is crazy about gaming. So she keeps holding Tae, and last time she kept holding Shinzo. So she kept playing the game for 5 consecutive days. After Shinzo remains unconscious here, now it is Tae's turn. Tae does not know how to play the game very well. So this game remains where we can see our villain Kyouichirou, Tae and Siobhan. They are killing the trash. There is this final boss who remains a Charo and comes in the form of a train. So here both of them are trying their best to stop this train, because this is the final boss, and then after some time we are shown that they have got success. Both of them together defeat him, and as he continues to lose, there is a news report about how the train that was there suddenly stops. It stopped no one to its reason. Then Siobhan tells that this is a game. It is also connected to real life. Meaning if once we win in the game, it means we win in real life too, because there was a bomb in that train. It was already there now. Here is another mission in real life. A chopper is going to attack, and they have designed the same like a game. Meaning it is completely real-time and game-like, isn't it? The same scene is going on. So if both of them win in the game, then that chopper will also stop. It is a real-time game. So here in the game, instead of the chopper, there is a dragon, and the dragon attacks both of them above. And it also gives it a revive kit that if you die, you can come back alive once again. Then both of them start attacking here. And here also our villain has been made 0. If you understand then, Tay, there is a little problem, because he is not a gaming freak and she is a gaming freak. So Tay uses a hack here. He goes through the wall and Shine is also surprised to see this. Are you using cheats? No, you are not supposed to use cheats. But now cheats have been used and Tay unknowingly uses a lot of cheats. He doesn't even realize what he is doing, and the one who remains there sees that now many more are coming. And then they do not understand how these people will win. Then they climb on top of that dragon and get control over it. And then they start attacking at the same time. Further, we are shown that the spy who lives here wanted to defeat Tay, but by mistake. What happens is that she helps our Tay and all the people. Here, you are watching all the boxes. It kills all those boxes, so now further. We also come to know how errors have started coming in its computer and on the other side. Our Taiyou says that let's finally, almost the game is about to end, and here she is not able to understand what all this has happened, but she says at least it is over. Then Tay also takes a sigh of relief, and Siobhan says that you have done a good job. Take this chocolate, eat it. He is eating the chocolate comfortably, and then Siobhan says to him, but you will be punished for this. You will get equal punishment because you have cheated, so now you will have to play a game with me, and you will play 3 games only if you complete it. Will you be able to come with me now? Doing this 3 days have passed here, and after 3 days our uncle's condition worsens, and that's how our episode ends today. To continue watching more exciting episodes, please subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. The episode begins with Sui is unconcerned about Oga's admiration for Taiyou, despite the fact that she learned about him. Both Sui and Oga are government spies. The following morning, Nano called Taiyou and asked him to pick him up at the evil laboratory because he had to go. Nano came undercover to neutralize this new weapon in a lab where bioweapons like toxic gas are being manufactured in secret. This is the new weapon, the germ bomb soda, which has the ability to destroy all life within a 10-kilometer radius if it explodes. He's going to eat it instead of trying to recover it because it would be unsafe to take something this big outside. Taiyou is quite concerned, but Nano reassures him that the human body is capable of performing a vast range of detoxification processes and that his bodies are far more capable of doing so than any average person's. It takes him around 3 hours to offset this quantity, but there's one catch. He gets extremely drowsy. He turned out the lights in this lab. He wants Taiyou to arrive and grab him first. Taiyou understood and got ready to head there as soon as someone from the other labs noticed. He entered with ease, but something doesn't seem right. Tao is attacked by a guard who is overcome by Oga and Sui, and security has already been compromised, resulting in injuries to the guards. Sui and Oga gave introductions. They are government spies because they belong to the government-run intelligence unit Heinejik. They had heard the name of this lab before and were sent to neutralize it. They are elite spies who work under government orders, unlike freelance spies like us. Sue instructed Obre to inquire about the status. Bob can see the smell of parabellum cartridges and hear the footsteps of 5 people in the distance. Since they are armed, they have an underground base. Ultimately, Taiyou is dragged along by Aga to accompany them on a mission. Teo consented to accompany them after realizing that they were allies and that they had just saved him. First and foremost, he needs to save Nano. The final lab is this one. He discovered Nano abruptly and tried to attack her, but Teo stopped him. It appears that their goal is to eliminate Nano since, having consumed that lethal weapon, he now poses a threat to everyone. The best thing for national security would be to get rid of him and along with it. Sui moved very fast and quickly took down Teo, saying, "If you want to kill my kid, brother, you'll have to kill me first." Is this the best the Akira can do all of a sudden? He wondered. When Nano awakens, she declares, "I just finished detoxifying soda. This patch test now demonstrates that there is no bacterial poison in my perspiration. Let me at least tend to my brother's wounds if you still plan to kill me." First, Sui said that our mission was accomplished if you were able to detoxify it. I'm going to use this patch test as documentation. /wounds heal with this ointment. Then Kaio asked Taiyou, "You can still save him if you act now. Let's go, Aga. Do you know why things work out this way for you? The solution can be found on the cover of Spy Magazine's Spy Day issue. There is a piece about how Hinu defeated you. It even goes so far as to refer to it as the demise of a well-known clan of clandestine spies. We're kind of blowing up online right now because there's also been a surge in review bombs, but none of that matters because the most crucial thing is that if you had made one mistake, Neneo would have died due to your weakness." That's Nano and Misami hitting Kaiwa Kairo over the head and making him say sorry to Taiyou Taiyou accuses himself because Nano is in danger as a result of his weakness. The Akira family is unshakable, according to Hayakairo, despite your error. But if you really want to accept accountability, there's only one thing you need to do to win. Hinjik and clear our reputation. Sui was being treated rudely by a man on the train. He tore Taiyou's clothes to shreds as a form of punishment for the man. Additionally followed Sui covertly and was found when Sui inquired, "Are you here to protect yourself, Taiyou?" The other day, it came to light that Kairo had advised Taiyou to spy on the spy in order to obtain their intelligence and defeat the Hinyu. Taiyou says, "I'm inexperienced, just like you say. That's precisely why I'm going to learn from you the things I need to get better at for the sake of my family." Sui will allow Taiyou to do as he pleases because he finds this to be interesting. Still, Sui moves so quickly. It's the walking on flowers Hangjik moving technique. It's their cover technique for moving quickly and silently while walking. It's useful for tailing infiltration. And of course in Babel as one of the Haku squad leaders. Su AI is exceptionally good at it. But Taiyou was still able to catch up with Su, who then stripped him of his clothes, labeling him as a pervert. Taiyou didn't give up and kept going everywhere with Su. In their quest, he even gave them aids. Sui kept chopping off pieces of Tao's attire, but this time he just removed the shirt. When Nana entered the kitchen, she asked Kyo where Taiyou was, but she was taken aback to see. Taiyou was asked by Nano, Kayak, Cairo using him as a cutting board. "Why are you pushing yourself so hard that you're in such terrible shape? No matter what anyone else says, you're cool big. But every time you manage to accomplish something that no one could have possibly predicted, you're a big friend." Taiyou Cairo said to Nano, "Kyo, don't be fooled. He is addicted to the rush of getting cut and left nude, and he simply enjoys the habit. Make no mistake, Big Bro Taiyou is not a pervert." However, Taiyou Cairo's words helped Taiyou understand something. Sui's final daily assignment is this. The first eccentric to successfully trail him for an entire day is Taiyou. Sui is going to end this out of respect for his tenacity. He promises not to cut his clothes this time. But because of all the times he was struck, Taiyou's body remembered this particular instance when he caught Sui. The entire body is attacked with slashes, but the center is always struck first. Taiyou may not be able to defeat him, but he can still bite him because he is blind to it and unable to respond. Sui knew why the Okura had accepted Taiyou, so he told Aga to take care of him. Aga was shocked to see Taiyou successfully avoid Sui's sword. It was quite an accomplishment. Sui clarifies that Taiyou didn't avoid it. Simply put, he identified Sui's habits, but since he was able to break them, it's not like he lacked potential in that area. Su is altering the way he sees him. Eventually, the story about Taiyou being outmatched and vanquished by Su was quickly forgotten, but stories about the pervert started to circulate. This concludes today's episode. Stay tuned for the next episodes. And don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive all the latest updates. Hundreds of people are gathering in front of a stage at the beginning of the episode, and a banner welcoming the Kyouichirou is hanging above the stage. As soon as the lights go on, a man decked out in feathers appears on stage and flamboyantly greets each voter. A redhead is observing the event from the intelligence government Hugh's headquarters, and her spies report that they failed once more because their targets were so watchful. But the redhead isn't concerned. She already has a fallback strategy, and it involves Taiyou Asano, the newest member of the Akira family. Tao and Misami are at the park in the meantime. While assisting Emzum with her errand, he is carrying her belongings. There are lots of families enjoying picnics and kids playing with couples in the park. Regarding Masami, she is going to meet someone very special. Taiyou was astounded to see Su waiting for them. While Taiyou is still upset with Tao for the recent incident involving Nano, Mutsumi explains to him that they are actually colleagues. Taiyou responds that he was simply carrying out his mission at the time, but they should concentrate on the current task at hand. The leader of the Hinjei Jik is about to meet them. Tao led them to a nearby cabinet office after they had been walking for a few minutes. Tao is anticipating going inside the building, but Sui directs them to a neighboring restaurant instead. He then places an order for an oddly named drink, and as soon as the cashier processes their payment, the floor collapses, sending the group plummeting hundreds of meters into the Earth's interior and landing in the actual Hanagiku headquarters. Sui teasingly offers some tea and Mutsumi. Tao is starting to feel envious of the way Sui's holding Mutsumi, but Sui defends his actions by saying that it's risky and advises Taiyou to focus in front of them instead. Before Taiyou can even process Sui's words, traps appear in front of them. Numerous arrows shoot in their direction, spikes abruptly emerge from the walls, and laser guns materialize. while Taiyou does his best to avoid the projectiles and explosions, Sui uses his sword to parry away the lasers and arrows. All of the traps are made for security and training purposes. When they eventually hit the bottom, Taiyou crashes in an unceremonious heap, barely recovering, while Su lands gracefully with Misami in his arms. Still, he was inches from his head when a big steel ball fell on him. Smither wonders if Tao, a weakling, can truly keep Mutsumi safe, especially after the red head from earlier materialized and punched the metal ball into her. After that, they piled all of the food they had brought into a nearby office. Taiyou, still traumatized from the previous trek, is peacefully enjoying his desserts while everyone else is not. Additionally, Mutsumi took time to clarify that the redhead Ren used to be Big Bro Haka's classmate, and she enjoys hosting tea parties occasionally. Ren chastises them for bringing up the name Harukawa after it is revealed that the errand was actually just a tea party, and that the large bag was full of cakes and other sweets. She gives Misami a hug and laments that Harukawa is constantly overprotective of her and keeps her hidden from the outside world. It turns out that despite their mutual annoyance, Ren and Hakawa both genuinely love Misami. Much obliged. Ren also makes the point that she hopes Misami marries a man who can keep her safe from her brother because of her love for Misami. However, Ren is now very disappointed in Tao. Additionally, she learned from Sui that Tao is essentially even less than low. Mutsumi, on the other hand, shields Tao's broken ego and assures everyone that Tao's soul is as resilient as Hakawa's. Suddenly everything changed. Hakawa enters as the walls burst open, knowing that Mutsumi was present because only Hasjijiku could disable their GPS tracking system. However, he now demands that Rin give him her hand. In a state of embarrassment over her brother's fixation on him, Mutsumi covers her hand. Ren tells her Ewa as he gets up his presence is disturbing their tea party. She gives him the order to go, but they just ended up insulting one another. Ren gets angry with Hakawa for influencing his gullible sister with his steel spider threads. Ren punches through his threads, breaking them with her fists in response to his jealousy. Ren's fist matches her Awa threads in strength as the two fight each other as peers. Their clash sends shockwaves through the subterranean, blowing away equipment in the vicinity. Blair activates the building warning sirens, alerting everyone throughout the agency. Toyo asks if they should evacuate, and Mutsumi shakes her head in frustration that this keeps happening each time Hakawa and Ren meet, and Sui orders them to leave. As he tries to break up the fight between the two, Misami chases after him and yells at him that she should be the one breaking it up. She tells him to stop fighting and to blow Sui away like a bothersome fly. Just as they are about to start fighting again, Mami steps in between them. Unfortunately, by that point, their attacks had already begun, and they were unable to stop themselves. They also push Misami down, causing the two's punch to collide with his face and squeeze it like juice, which Mutsumi catches. In a quiet but menacing voice, the unconscious Tao tells the two adults that she will never speak to them again if they cause any more trouble, even as the two adults halt their fight in shock. The two obsessive adults are instantly terrified by the threat, and Hakawaka passes out from fear. Rin, meanwhile, kneels and begs for MICM's forgiveness and acknowledges Tao's resilience for surviving that blow. This brings Misami joy and emphasizes that her husband should have anticipated this after observing how upbeat Misami had become. When Tao eventually wakes up, Ren gives in and acknowledges that perhaps Tao is a good fit for Misami. Ren clarifies that she wants him to go undercover in order to look into a politician. More precisely, she wants him to spy on Yoshimasa Kirori, the politician who dances. Yoshimasa earned his moniker from his habit of dancing on stage while promoting his campaign's promises of free education, pensions, normalization, and tax breaks. Despite his ridiculous appearance, he was the man in the puffy coat and the head of the Sairuyuri party. At the moment, he is the most prominent politician. However, Yoshimasa's accomplishments are not without bloodshed. This particularly affects his three underlings, who work together as triplet spies under the names Red, Blue, and Yellow. Yoshimasa has ascended to the top through bribery murder and other illicit means. Yoshimasa Kiroyuri is reportedly preparing to move before the general election to guarantee that he receives the majority of the votes. When handling another mission, Ren's organization seized a tiny bomb, just like that lethal bomb. When Ren apprehended the offender, who was smuggling these bombs to a single customer, there were still a few others at large. The smuggler stated that he was unaware of the client's identity or face, but oddly enough a videotape that the smuggler possessed shows a brief glimpse of Yoshimasa. That's why she knows it's him. This brief sight of him, though, won't be sufficient to obtain an arrest warrant for him. To prevent any issues, Ren cannot simply watch while Yoshimasa plants bombs across the nation. Ren informs Asano that in order to stop the impending catastrophe, he needs to obtain surefire intelligence regarding Yoshimasa's bombing plans. Asano finds it incomprehensible that Ren has given him this mission as a novice spy. Ren clarifies that Yoshimasa is aware of the existence of the government-issued organization, Hinjejik. Though he is on guard against them, Yoshimasa won't see Asano as a threat, and his team won't even be able to find him because he is essentially a nobody. Nevertheless, Ren gives him a makeover and transforms him into a propel. While Asano is unsure of the precise reason behind his need to pass for a woman, Ren argues that it's not for fan service and presents him with a poster to support his claim. First, based on the poster, the Koyori party advertised that they were looking to hire a woman who matched Aso's current disguise. She had long eyelashes and black hair. Thus, it will be simpler for Asano to infiltrate enemy facilities and obtain crucial information about their bombing operations if he is hired. Telling Ao that hundreds of thousands of lives will be in his hands during this mission, Ren pats him on the shoulder. She then clarifies that he cannot afford to fail at this mission and inspires him to obtain the intelligence they require as soon as possible. Following the Sero party, Yoshimasa, the ugly politician, keeps making fun of himself by hosting a dance party. Yoshimasa introduces his friend Asada, the biggest and baddest hottie in town. To a new comrade this time, Asada is clearly Aano, and the enthusiastic applause from the group of people assembled by Yoshimasa's notices overwhelms him. He notices Asana's agitation and approaches her to give her a pat on the head while reassuring her not to become too overwhelmed. He gives her a tight hug, showing her how much of a pervert he is, promising her that she will now be a part of the hero's family. In the meantime, he is violated by all means, but he says nothing because it's all part of the mission. 3 demonstrators interrupted Yoshimasa's speech at that precise moment, denouncing him as a corrupt politician who is utterly evil because all of his policies will only serve to further enrich the wealthy at the expense of the impoverished. They begin to chant, urging the populace to stop allowing such a despot to take power and oppress the weak. This sparks a brawl among the throng that nearly claims one of the demonstrators' lives. Hurt because one of the large sound boxes is about to topple over, Yoshimasa himself dives on top of a protester and takes a hit to demonstrate his concern for the people. Yes, it's a tried and true tactic to win people over. Watch to see how much his complexion changes once he wins the election. Nevertheless, the crowd applauds the generous politician and wishes for his speedy recovery as soon as they recognize what a noble man Yoshimasa is and grow concerned for him upon realizing that he is bleeding from his head. When the emergency ambulance arrives to take Yoshimasa to urgent care, he tells Asada to return to the office before the ambulance leaves. The brainwashed mob keeps applauding him. Yoshimasa, meanwhile, abandons his act of hurting himself inside the ambulance and admits that everything, including the protesters and the falling soundbox, was a ploy to get as much trust from the audience as possible. Yoshimasa immediately starts to celebrate his victory after learning from his subordinate Blue that his popularity has skyrocketed. In contrast, Asano has been hiding under his bed and is now positive that Yoshimasa is only evil. Later at work, Asano looks through all of Yoshimasa's files but is unable to uncover any information regarding his misdeeds. Yoshimasa's efforts to purge his political party of all dishonest members cause Asano's situation to worsen. To prevent any issues in the future, Not So Asano stays alert and keeps an eye on the eerie old men who spend the entire day dancing with his subordinates. Suddenly, Asano discovers that the dumb dance is actually a covert Morse code method that lets Yoshimasa speak with his subordinate. Asano interprets their exchanges without a trace and eventually discovers Yoshimasa's bombing scheme. Yoshimasa meets the deputy prime minister the following day and, while dancing, exposes him as his enemy using Morse code. Thus, he intends to blow up the deputy prime minister and every employee during this meeting by detonating a bomb beneath the platform. But instead of the bomb blowing up in a nearby fountain, when Yoshimasa presses the button to detonate it, Asano admits that he moved the bomb there because he didn't have enough time to disable it. Yoshimasa discovers that Asano is the one betraying the family and reveals that Asano is actually one of the spies from the Akira clan. He reveals that he had planted a second bomb there and shoots Ayano in the head while pointing a gun at him. However, at the same time, no one is impacted by the bomb. because Ao had everyone there wear shock-resistant jackets beforehand, and he had also managed to avoid Yoshimasa's shot as well as Sui, who had been hiding among the shadows. He shows up to help all this time. Asano and deftly destroys all of Yoshimasa's subordinates' weapons now that they have all the information they require. After Sui signs something, the politician takes off his clothes, takes him into custody, and he is arrested for his crimes. Even though Aso's mission has been successful, Asano still has to accompany the evil politician back to prison. On the way, the politician reveals to Asano that his parents' and siblings' deaths were not fake, all a coincidence, and that person was the master manipulator behind it all. We appreciate you watching, and as always, please stay safe and take care of yourself. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Two's gun emits an electric glow while he makes a threat to shoot Yoshimasu for not disclosing the information about his family. Yoshimasu refuses to respond, but he does offer Tao guidance on how to navigate their society of assassins and spies because there are many hidden truths in the world. As Tao's phone starts to vibrate, it's Sui alerting him to an emergency. Su then sends a live stream of the Deputy Prime Minister being kidnapped and restrained in an undisclosed location. The Deputy Prime Minister was abducted earlier during their bust when someone else wearing a mask pretended to be him. It appears that Sui was actually targeting Yoshimasu all along. Sui wants Tao to question Yoshimasu and find out where the Deputy Prime Minister is. Yoshimasu grinned and said he was actually going to the kidnapping location. He then raised his hands and removed all the straps and ropes that were holding him down. Disappearance while Taiyou is still recovering from his shock. Yoshimasu takes off one of his earrings and drops it to the ground. The earring glows when it hits the floor, and the van they are riding in suddenly explodes at his laboratory at their home. Nanao is mixing chemicals for an experiment when the chemicals explode a few seconds later, shaking their house. Misami enters the room while donning a gas mask and asks Nani if he's okay. After telling Misami that he's fine, Nano gets up from the floor with strange lumps growing all over him. Later, Nao explains that he gets anxious thinking about Tao while on a mission. So to distract himself, he's making a new healing potion to heal Tao if he comes home looking injured. When Misami asks if Masami is worried, she says that she is too, but she doesn't want to dwell on it, so she cooked and prepared a magnificent feast for Tao's return, hoping that Tao will recover if he eats all of Masami's food. When Mutsumi inquires about the whereabouts of her other siblings, Na informs her that Kano is likely crafting a new appearance for Tao in case his face is damaged during his mission, while Shen is occupied with tussling with their detractors online to ensure that they won't stir up trouble if Tao fails. Meanwhile, Shinzo is so concerned about Tao that he's holed up in his trash can. As for their final two siblings, Mamami was taken aback to see Futaba and Hakawa relaxing and sipping tea. Futaba is sure that Tao can accomplish his goals if he remains focused, while Hakawa is amusing himself by conjuring up death scenarios. Mamemi is concerned about Taio's death already. Returning to the city, while Taio assists his driver in leaving their wrecked car, his thoughts continue to replay Yoshimazu's statements. It is true that his family perished in an automobile accident, but he miraculously survived, and his phone vibrates when Su calls to see how they are doing. Tao explains the circumstances and how Yoshimasu managed to escape. Sui responds that they actually anticipated that Tao wouldn't know, but Yoshimasu is more than just a dishonest politician. He's also a skilled spy, known as Kuraga in the past. He was a legendary spy who was thought to have died a few years ago but has since reappeared as a politician. In reality, they have just loosened their surveillance on Yoshimasu in an effort to learn what he was plotting. Yoshimasu's words continue to reverberate in Tao's ears as he tells Tao to return to their headquarters before ending the call. Meanwhile, in an abandoned hideout, the Deputy Prime Minister awakens and finds Yoshimasu standing beside him. Thankfully, they are able to save the Deputy Prime Minister by using the GPS tracker that their spy agency planted on him. Yoshimasu sits on another chair beside him, and in front of them was a camera live streaming the whole thing. In fact, the live video is being played throughout the country. The Prime Minister tells Yoshimasu how disappointed he is that he became a terrorist. He tells Yoshimasu that this stunt won't change their politics. Yoshimasu pulls off his wig and replies that he has no interest in politics. He continues, removing his glasses, and the Prime Minister's eyes widen upon seeing Yoshimasu true identity as Kuraga then crosses his arms and announces that it's now time to start their live stream. He will be speaking not as a politician, but as a father who lost his child. In fact, Kuraga admitted that he already took revenge on numerous politicians behind the scene while he was acting as Yoshimasu, But since the Prime Minister is the only one left and the only person who knows the true story, he wanted his vengeance to be done in front of the public eye. He points a gun at the Prime Minister and tells him that they are conducting an interview. Either he will reveal the truth and be judged by society, or he can refuse to answer and die by the bullet. The Prime Minister replies, closing his eyes, that if he blurts out the truth, he will fail as a politician. Kaga already anticipated this response, and the live stream ends abruptly. Back in the abandoned Taiyou points his gun at Kuraga and demands that he free the Prime Minister, even though the camera phone was destroyed by his bullet. Kuraga stands up and thanks Tao for coming. But he also warns Tao that his gun is useless because the electric gun he is using increases in power the father he wants to shoot. Since Kuraga is only a few meters away, Tao risks shooting the Prime Minister. If Kuraga is shot, Tao then shoots his own gun and disarms Tao. Remembers his training, and he immediately runs forward the moment he lets go of his gun. He nimbly gets past Kaga's guard and disarms him of his gun. However, Kura is also familiar with the Jawaka fighting style. He grabs hold of Tio's wrist and flips him into the air before slamming him into the ground. He also knows about the steel wire that Yakira uses and pulls the ones out of Taio's belt. Using it, he ties up Taio. Kage informs him that he knows all about the Yakira techniques because he specializes in gathering and exploiting information. When Tao asks him why he pretended to be a politician, Kuraga reiterates that he just wanted revenge in the past. Kuraga was a very good spy, working for politicians. After working as a spy, he wears his fluffy hair and goofy glasses to try and make his daughter happy. His daughter laughs at his antics, but she also complains how Kuraga is now always away on jobs ever since her mother died. She then thanks him for the present Kuraga sent. Kuraga was confused about what present she's talking about, but it was already too late. The present on the floor explodes, filling their house with flames as his house burns all around him. Kaga holds his dead daughter close to his chest. He becomes aware that the politicians in the Po that he was employed by are now attempting to get rid of him after they have finished using him. Kuraga faked his death and pretended to be a politician named Yoshimasu. Even though he knew that killing people wasn't a good idea, Kuraga still wants the politicians to know how much pain he caused them. After entering politics, he used his successes and popularity to control his target political parties and exact revenge on them. The Deputy Prime Minister is the only one still in power, and he points a gun at the Prime Minister's head. However, Taio manages to break free from his bonds and charges at Kuraga. Stumbling back, he discovers the three triplet spies, red, blue, and yellow, blocking his path and defending Kuraga. In exchange for Tao's surrender, Kuraga also offers to tell him the truth about his family's demise. Tao declines the offer because, while he does want to know the truth about his parents' accident, he also doesn't want any more people to perish. When Sui finally arrives and lands next to Tao, the floor beneath them suddenly collapses, revealing the three spies. Sui tells Tao that he will handle the spies while Tao handles Kuraga. Tio then readies his blade when Tao attacks Kuraga, easily catching his fist. He then recognizes Tao's hollow blade as being made by Shinzo, and one can load poison inside the hollow tip. He then thrusts Tao's own knife into Tao's stomach before throwing him away, landing in a heap and coughing while attempting to contain his bleeding stomach. Finally, he throws the knife away before attempting to stand back up. Meanwhile, Kuraga approaches Tao with his gun drawn, telling Tao that his aim of saving everyone is naive. While this is going on, a few floors below them, the triplet spies wipe off the dust from their suits and commend Su for his sword skills. However, they warn Su that even with his government job, they would still be no match for them. Red Flame, the first spy, raises his hand and a gout of flame shoots out of his wrist. He specializes in terrorism and arson. Blue Water, the second triplet, can cut anything, including hard discs and human bodies, with highly pressurized water from his fingertips when he picks up a rock. Finally, the fifth-ranked spy, Yellow Lightning, the third triplet, raises both of his hands and electricity begins to arc between them. He can rewrite data and brains together, making him unstoppable, and he holds a spy family ranking of 5. Sui tells them that flaunting their abilities and disclosing their own capabilities is very conceited, but he will also reveal one thing to them. The technique walking on flowers. Like flowers, he can absorb all sounds and resistance, allowing him to move quickly and soundless. While this may be a normal movement skill, it also improves Sui's sword techniques. As the sphere of destruction launches and rolls aggressively towards Sui, the three triplets raise their hands and begin combining their attacks to create a huge ball of energy. Sui crouches and gets ready to draw his sword, and when the energy ball is only a few inches away, he draws it and attacks, slicing the triplets in one fell swoop and cutting through their attacks like a blossoming flower. When Sui finally puts his sword back in its sheath, the triplets are already attacking. He gets up on the ground, looks up into Taiyou's floor, and decides to go back upstairs to assist him. However, as he does so, he feels something behind him and slashes at it with his blade, but nobody is there. Since Taiyou was a child, he believed that he would live forever holding on to his pain, but something changed. Since Mutsumi has been with him since his parents died, he has actually never been alone. Taiyou is still holding onto his wound and trying to stop himself from bleeding out. But Kag tries to point out to Taiyou that they both suffer from the same pain, and that they both know how sad it is to lose your whole family and be the only one left. Taiyou then charges at Kuraga once more. Kuragai points his gun at Taiyou, certain that he will win in a heartbeat. As he looks at Taiyou, his mind begins to list all of Taiyou's potential moves, from explosives to the Akira martial arts. Suddenly, Taiyou vanishes, and S follows after him. While recalling Herakawak's lessons as a spy, Kaga soon discovers that Taiyou actually possesses more skills than he appears to have. He just executed the Ixqua's technique of walking on flowers, but Kaga is unsure of how Taiyou could have learned it. As a result, Kaga finds it difficult to deal with unexpected new abilities. After learning about Sui's methods from him, Taiyou used them to get behind Kaga and stop him from shooting again. He then combined all of the other skills he had learned to fight Kagai, who was now brandishing a knife. To do this, he bit his teeth to activate a hidden potion that increased his speed. Next, he used Shin's combat tactics data to analyze the trajectory of the knife, blocking it with his own forearm. Fortunately, Kano's fake skin prevented the blade from cutting Taiyou's blade. Kaga attempted to retreat and fire his gun, but Taiyou used Futaba's martial arts to deflect his aim and jam the gun using Shinzo's jamming gun. Kaga attempted to extract his hidden gun, but Taiyou wasn't done yet, so he used Has as Karuga acknowledges Taiyou's abilities with a smile, unlike him. Taiyou never gave up, showing respect for Taiyou's mental fortitude by giving him something. Just as he was about to tell Taiyou something, a bullet suddenly bursts through his throat, silencing him. Kuraga, stunned by the sudden wound, tries to find the shooter, but Kuraga just advises him to live fearlessly before his hand falls to his side. Suisei arrives at the scene, assuming that Kaga was killed by an assassin. Meanwhile, Taiyou just stares at the piece of paper that Kuraga gave him. A few days later, he reaches the location on the map that Kaga gave him. There, in the middle of the field, lies a single tree where Kaga's daughter is buried. There, he silently prays, lays a bouquet of flowers, and pulls out a mysterious small box. The episode begins with Ren joyfully fires her gun at the ceiling at the Hinjaijuk headquarters, announcing the beginning of their celebration after congratulating everyone on their successful completion of the mission. Since then, the Hachu Hotpot also completed the mission without suffering any losses. She begins by giving him an enormous portion of rice. Taiyou takes the bowl of rice even though he doesn't really understand what's going on. Sui tells him that their leader Ren organizes the Hinjaijuk Hotpot as a way of saying thank you to her subordinate. She even used her bare hands to gather the different ingredients. Ren looks at the assortment of animals she has caught and wonders what kind of meat to put in their pot. She feels an uninvited guest joining them first though. Hakawa Emsum's elder brother had sneaked into their festivities and informed her that he was only chaperoning her so he could go. However, he did bring some specially brewed beers. Sui then advances and cuts the meat with his sword. After a few minutes, tea is serving Mami a bowl while the food is being cooked in the hot pot. Naturally, the Sisan Hakawa shoves food in Tao's face and tells him it's not time to cook for his sister. Ren pushes his face into the bowl when he tries to serve Mami his own food. The two begin throwing food at one another, as a result, starting a food fight. Everyone else flees. One of the agents, Aga, was struck in the eye by a fish cake and lost consciousness as he lay unconscious on the ground. As for Taiyou, I use my movement technique to catch some of the food and give it to him. Maimi Sui cautions Taiyou not to copy his technique too much since it can cause an amateur's bone to warp, as Taiyou's bandaged feet clearly demonstrated. After the meal, he eats the food, telling them that even the hot pot is a battlefield. Masami and Sui clean up, while the others sleep soundly with full bellies. Taiyou, meanwhile, is staring at the box from behind a book. Kuraga gave him his last breath. Even though he is aware that it contains information about his family, he is still unsure of how to proceed. When Mutsumi surprises him, she asks him what he's doing. Taiyou describes his situation and his fear that things could change in his world. Looking at the information, He knows that when he battled Kuraga, his body responded immediately to save lives, but he fears Taiyou might have done the same thing if he had been in his position and the person who killed his family had been before him. Kuraga really did follow through on his vow to never allow anyone to perish. He could also relate to the emotions of a murderous person. Thus, if he opens the box, he could become like Kuraga. As Mutsumi silently hears Taiyou speak, he notices his troubled form. She sags in and plants a soft peck on his cheek, rousing Taiyou from his reverie. He glances at Masami, but all she does is blush and itch her head. She continues by telling Taiyou that no matter what surprises lie ahead of him, he will always be the same person, and even if he does change, she will always be by his side. Mutsumi then holds his hand, and Taiyou expresses gratitude for her kind words. Then, Masami discovers that the box he was holding had also opened, revealing a marble. The object with a look had fallen to the ground. Hakawa interrupts to tell Taiyou that by using a laser to arrange the air bubbles inside, the marble can record optical data. Taiyou notices that Hakawa is glaring at him and is crying blood when he looks up at him. After hearing their sweet conversation, the assistant Hakawa offered to write down his final words on the marble. Taiyou goes crazy. Fortunately, Rein intervenes to save him by choking Hakawa. Taiyou then stealthily leaves the room with Masami, Hakawa threatening to kill everyone in his room. Later that night, that is going to take his sister away. When the two do eventually make it back to their home, Taiyou is relieved to be there, but all of a sudden, he feels so exhausted and his body feels so heavy. The maid right on his shoulder then asks him Ayaka. Ayaka responds that she is merely charging Taiyou's energy, but Taiyou tries to shake her loose. Ayaka dives to the ground and declares that she will now be serving as a maid and defending Masami and him against assassins. As it turns out, Mutsumi had invited her to work for. She even complimented Ayaka on her adorable outfit and offered to teach her how to brew their yu, which Ayaka gladly accepted because, in addition to her assassination prowess, she also possesses strong housekeeping skills. Thanks to her undercover work, Taiyou was taken aback by their casual conversation and inquires as to whether it's truly acceptable for them to have an outside spy operating out of their house. Mutsumi responds that since it's AAK, it should be acceptable for her to demonstrate her spying abilities. Additionally, Aka informs them that she already knows about Taiyou's covert work as a spy, including how he infiltrated the Kore party, battled Kuraga, and saved the deputy prime minister. Furthermore, she had discovered that Taiyou had acquired an optical drive from Kuraga. Then she gives Shin the marble that was in Taiyou's pocket. Taiyou yells at Ayaka in a rage as Shin leaves to study it. Ayaka also gives Taiyou heartfelt praise for his rise in bounty, which has earned him an A1 500,000 reward. Now that they are in the underworld, she is already anticipating all the aggression and violence aimed at Taiyou. Whether it be gouging, burning, crushing, or electrifying Taiyou, Ayaka is already becoming aroused at the prospect of his demise. While Eka keeps telling Taiyou that he needs to learn how to defend himself if he wants to survive, Mutsumi wipes away Ayaka's drool. She would be hitting him regularly to sharpen his anti-assassin abilities. After that, she hurls some forks in Taiyou's direction, and Taiyou continues to object, asking why they must allow Aka to live with them. But later that night at the Akira mansion, Mumi just smiles at him and tells him that it's for his own good. Asano bemoans the fact that he hasn't had any energy left after his first training session with Ayaka. Yoseka approaches him and gives him a blanket while complimenting him on his hard work. Yosua decides to make her husband some tea, but when she pulls out the tea box, she discovers it is completely empty. She gives him a pat on the head and reassures him that he is already deserving of her, thanking him for always trying his hardest for her. It seems that this is her Kawa's tea box, and she feels bad that her brother's stash of rare teas has run out. Whatever the case, she chooses to use Nano's blended tea, and while Asano is outside taking a quick shower and Aso is contentedly enjoying himself, the extremely perverted Aik enters the room surreptitiously and starts taking pictures of Po Aino. She tells him that this is all part of his spy training and that even when he's taking a bath, he needs to remain vigilant in his role as a spy. She obviously doesn't listen to Aso, who is practically pleading with her to stop violating his privacy, and even goes so far as to squirt him with toxic shampoo. He is forced to flee as she keeps splattering shampoo at Ao. Running after him, Ayaka falls into the bathtub and, unintentionally setting off one of the Akira mansion traps, is electrocuted. However, she yields not once but twice because she is insane. As then arrives to assist her and gives her a hug to split the voltage equally and destroy the set trap's main source. They are propelled out of the damaged restroom, and Asano, who is conveniently nude, lands on top of AK quite dramatically. When Hakuwa arrives, he believes the worst and confronts her sister's husband for infidelity after discovering him on top of another woman. Yozakura Asano makes an effort to clarify the evident miscommunication, but his current circumstances work against him in terms of punishing his depraved brother-in-law. Hakuwa decides to use the stomach splitter, a weapon that looks disturbingly inappropriate, on him. Asano quickly runs to the kitchen, where Yozakura is still preparing tea for him, realizing that pleading for forgiveness won't help him. However, she remains unfazed and is actually relieved to see that the following morning they are all getting along. Asano is about to depart when he gets assigned to another spy mission. Yozakura leaves his phone in his bedroom and dashes over there. Before giving the phone to him, she discovers that there is a call coming from Kuru. She asks Asano about this person, but he doesn't respond and takes the phone from her, leading her to believe that he is up to no good. Aka, who is suspicious, also informs Yozakura that there's a chance Asano is having an affair with this woman from Kuru. Although Yozakura is certain that her husband is faithful, Aka brings up how she has observed him engaging in a number of dubious activities, such as taking a shower before returning home. Ayaka claims that turning off his phone to hide his whereabouts and even leaving without warning are obvious indications of infidelity, but Yozakura doesn't see it that way. Later, she goes for a walk with Asano to spend some quality time with him. As the leader of the Yozakura family, Yozakura mentions that it is her responsibility to walk their house dog, Goliath, who is also with them. It seems that Goliath is a unique rare breed of dog that resembles a wolf and has the ability to voluntarily change into a larger wolf. In addition to being extraordinarily strong, Goliath can also be used as a vehicle to show off how smooth a ride he can provide. Yozakura climbs on top of him and invites Asano to jump in, but as soon as he approaches them, Goliath kicks him away, making it obvious that only the family head is permitted to ride him. Ora then gives Asano the leash and instructs him to walk beside them for the time being, but Goliath doesn't walk like a typical dog and starts to sprint forward at a speed greater than a bullet train. They travel through several cities in a matter of minutes, but regrettably, Asano doesn't enjoy the ride because when it ends, he is barely hanging on to life. Asano is tired beyond belief. They are taking a break at a nearby park when some children come up to Goliath, drawn in by his majestic beauty. As the three children hold 3 balloons, the Japanese Pennywise the Clown appears, revealing that he has placed bombs inside the balloons, causing the explosion. Fortunately, Asano, the elite spy who serves as their human shield to keep them safe, keeps them all safe. Goliath specifically gets upset that someone would try to harm them, so he starts looking for clues. In a matter of seconds, he finds the culprit, a clown, who is chasing the head of the Yozakura family. When Goliath arrives at the clown's hideout, he gives him a lesson that helps him realize what happens when he tries to scare the nation's most prominent spy family. Goliath returns to the park and takes a much-needed nap after battling the clown. It was almost sunset when Yozakura tends to Aso's wounds and checks on him. They make the decision to return to the house, but Asano is hesitant to accompany Yozakura because he fears being dragged by the belligerent guard to the ground. Goliath lets him again, telling him he will be alright, show him that he has finally started to trust him by joining him on the ride. They return home without any more issues, and Asano is confronted by Aka, who accuses him of cheating once more. She discloses that she took pictures of him meeting covertly with another woman. She also shows these pictures to Hakawa, who willingly participates in the torture. Before Asano can explain the girl named Mami, with whom he is purportedly having an affair, his ungrateful brother-in-law will do so. Arrives there and discloses that she is a part of the Hinjiku group. She is ostensibly only here to deliver a package to AO. It was intended to be kept a secret, but given all the miscommunication, she believes that this will work out better. They are truly here to deliver if everyone knows that the elderly man standing next to her is Kuru, the man who had previously called Asano on the phone. Kawak's favorite rare tea leaves are called dark sweet. In other words, Asano decided to give Hakuwa this rare treat when he learned that the latter was out of tea leaves, and he set out on a quest to locate them. Hakuwa finds it hard to comprehend that despite all of the torture Asano has endured from him, Asano still loves him and would go to such lengths. He acknowledges his goodness and punishes himself for ever doubting him. He also apologizes to Ayaka for accusing him of cheating and makes a vow that she won't question him ever again. Either way, they like a good cup of tea. He departs with these rare and they spend the evening making amends. That concludes this video, should you so desire. Part 2 gives us a like. We appreciate your support and ask that you subscribe to our channel for more anime content. Take care of yourself and be safe. Goodbye. The episode begins with Futaba Yano and her train him by firing baseball machine guns at him, which he avoids as best he can. On a new day, they find themselves in an open field. Futaba says that Shinso used to play like this with her all the time when he got home. Asano is curious about Mutsumi's actions. She picks up an album while cleaning and extends an invitation for them to view it. As soon as Ayano points out a group photo, Mutsumi tells her that it's the one that everyone is in. Nano took them after passing the exam to obtain his spy license. Furthermore, it's sort of customary to snap a picture of a family member passing an exam. He asks, ignorant of the subject, what a spy license is after hearing Sanu speak. Futaba explains its meaning. As a membership card provided by the Spy Association in the early 20th century, the Spy Association was established by spies to promote mutual aid, and those who successfully complete the annual exam are granted membership. This espionage license, proving their ownership of the gold, is given to them. After obtaining this license, you will be able to access job references and information from the association, and you will be qualified for benefits like the spy pension. After passing the promotion exams, you will initially be awarded the bronze rank. After hearing her, you will move up to the silver rank and then the gold rank. As you do so, your missions will get more difficult and profitable. Asano says he wants to take the exam as well, and she lets him without any complaints. Suddenly, it seems like once he pays attention. In addition to reminding him that everyone in his family approved of the initial attempt to threaten him, this conversation also mentions that he has agreed not to do it, so he should not damage his family's reputation. However, if he doesn't interrupt him, he already knows what is going on. So he's not shocked when he threatens to kill him or say something similar. Even though he realizes what he did in an instant, he is unable to get away from him and is apprehended seconds later when they hear a scream. Thus, the boys they go to see what happens, and although she doesn't appear angry at all, it turns out that Kayaka got tangled in Sion's computer's cables and a program destroyed her. Something creepy and frightening emerges from this program, giving her a slight shiver. On the other hand, Misum Shin-non is concerned about Futaba because of how abrupt it was and how terrified she was by this horrible virus. Soon after, Mutsumi tells Sano that although Futaba cannot tolerate fear, monsters and zombies can be vanquished with strength. She doesn't find them bothersome at all, but because they don't work with ghosts and curses, she claims that they terrify her. She even destroyed a haunted house they had taken her to in the past, recalling the staff members' screams on that fateful day. Eventually, she says that she will calm down tomorrow, so when some noises are heard on the ceiling, they will need to watch her until then. Terrified, Futaba hurls herself towards Mutsumi's head. Sean remarks that Goliath has been acting agitated lately, and she has been hearing more noises around the house even when no one is there. Seihan Keishin, he wagers that they are resentful spirits with a grudge against the Yozakura for no reason at all, calling it a scary horror tale to frighten people. However, Mutsumi tells him to stop because Futaba is going to change his appearance as a result of the stress he is under. And so, while playing cards, everyone's day of babysitting started with Sister Futaba, where Shun informed the others about the circumstance. When the news is about to discuss something haunted, Shinso uses his reflexes to shoot the remote control, changing the program in time to save Futaba's peace of mind, while the others cover his eyes so he doesn't see anything. Futaba shyly asks Shun that she needs to go to the bathroom, so she follows her. She gets scared of Kengo eventually. Shion reprimands them severely while wearing a tribal mask. In order to make it to bed, Mutsumi and Futaba finally took a bath. Despite the noises coming from the ceiling, Asen keeps an eye on them so they can sleep soundly. Since they are still going strong and are at a loss for what to do, Mutsumi reads her favorite book to Futaba. The book is so good that she usually nods off herself, though she does ask him to finish if that happens. When the story is read aloud for a short while, Mutsumi nods off effortlessly. After a few minutes of listening to it, which is quite tragic and bloody from the start, Asano quickly takes the book and starts reading it. Futaba is happy because it makes her nostalgic for her early years. That's when she tells Healthy that he apologizes for treating her so pitifully. He then tells her that when his mother read him that book all the time, he was fearless. But when she died, he realized that there are some things you just can't deal with. No matter how strong you are, no matter how hard you train, that impermeable strength will still ruthlessly rob you of the things that matter most to you. And when you consider that you might one day lose the people you love, the fear becomes unbearable, and you begin to believe that she is a failure because she is the eldest daughter of the Yosakuras, feeling helpless to protect everyone. She would much rather be laughed at for her fear of ghosts than to reveal that pitiful side of herself. Since he is her brother-in-law, I am able to tell her the truth. Alternatively, I could thank him for listening to him. Asano explains to him that he wants to understand what it's like to lose loved ones due to an enemy you cannot defeat, which is precisely why he aspires to become as strong as the others and mature into a true Yozakura, as yourselfly, and obtain added additional protection for Futaba. Thank him for complying with his request to go to bed as it is getting late, and best of luck on his exam. When the spy exam day finally arrives, Asano demonstrates his resolve in the first test, which is supported by Mutsumi and the others, and witnesses firsthand what transpires after making a significant effort in that race. Asano outperforms the others and places first. This prompts some participants to discuss it. It appears that the Yozakura rookie is living up to the rumors, and a boy has also noticed him. During break time, one of the participants expresses his resentment towards the other because he lost to him in the competition and tries to attack him with a knife to get the compensation on his head, but is repelled before he can get close because of a strong wind from the boy's fan from earlier, reminding him that fights between examinees are not allowed. Subsequently, he informs Asano that it is instinctive to defend those you love. In addition to the fact that his skin is attractive even when it is wet, you want to stick your tongue out to him. However, you should wait for Asano to yank Mutsumi away so that he can warn him about this pervert. But he tells him that since he already has the gun, there is no need for him to point it at him. When she gives him a close look, his heart leaps for joy. She reveals to him that he is Tsukio Joseph-buru, the top playboy in the espionage world who has a reputation for flirting with people of any age or gender. He turns and asks if it would be okay if he didn't try to seduce. She seems very upset about it to her husband. But Tsukio tells her that her free-spirited love will not be stifled by the institution of marriage. She even presents him with a doll that she fashioned out of all the hair and clothing fibers she had gathered throughout her many pilgrimages to her various locations. After hearing something from Mission that Sano would not have wanted to hear, the exam continues where it left off. Shima Tuksokyo experiences the same thing in the second. This one, however, is about escaping certain objects, and this one obstructs Asano's path. The third test involves disarming a bomb, which Asano handled with ease after witnessing Setsude disarm it quickly and piece by piece. In a written exam, test takers are immediately sent to the ceiling if the cameras identify that they provided an incorrect response. For this reason, the remaining candidates are advised that this final exam will be the last one to be taken for the espionage license exam today. They are instructed to focus on the end of the hallway where they currently stand. They will grant their espionage licenses as a token of appreciation for their efforts. Spies, which you must accept one at a time. However, you must remember that this headquarters will soon be disposed of in order to maintain confidentiality. Thank you for taking the number 12 license exam today. A short while later, the entire hallway starts to collapse, so everyone rushes to get their spy licenses. In the end, only a small number of people from this time race survive. The guy who was trying to kill Zano hits him unexpectedly, causing the ground to collapse beneath him, and he stays behind as the ground crumbles beneath him. They fall into the traps that appear in their path. Kilo, who is behind him, tells him that he prefers it never to burn before hurling him forward with a powerful blizzard. Immediately thereafter, the floor gets chaotic. After he falls, we see Asano still clinging to the edge with one hand while supporting himself with the other. Says he advises him to hold onto it forever if he enjoys it. Then he gives up, saying he should keep going since he doesn't accept let him fail this test. When Tatsukiyo hears those words, he is pleased. He then uses a unique fan technique to create a tornado that lifts them both up and lands them safely in the hallway beyond. Suspended in midair, he then informs Zeno that he has made an attempt, requesting permission to represent himself since, in actuality, he is a silver rank spy. As the supervisor of exam number 112 for spy licenses, Tsukio Joseph-buru put him to the test in the most crucial subject of all because technical proficiency and talent are not tradition and trust are more important to the spy association than any other requirements for becoming a spy, and they place a premium on humanity because the world of espionage is rife with intrigue and betrayal. A kind of cohesion that can give new members of the group confidence. You can see that the previous topic was removed from the license he obtained there. The elderly man on his side, however, was not a participant but rather a different supervisor who told Tsukio that he had Sano tells Asano that each examinee in this exam had a supervisor assigned to them, and that is exactly what they were examining. Sano says that since Asano has earned the trust of the Yozakura, it is probably not unnecessary to congratulate him on passing and receiving his spy license. With sufficient zeal, I would like to thank you and then bring up your stated crush on him. Two spies clarified that it was not like that because he was expressing his most private feelings and asking for a celebratory hug. So it was just an act as a supervisor, right? With considerable fear, Asano leaps from the hallway into the water without pausing to run to the other side. After passing on his first try, Asano joins the boys later for the family celebration. Hiro enters through the roof and tells them that he was attempting to increase the house's security. He therefore constructed all of these hidden chambers from which he could watch over Mutsumi, but it appears that he made the walls excessively thin in an attempt to get even a millimeter closer to her. Kyouichirou notices this and places a key on Kyouichirou. He was having fun while he was bothering Mutsumi. So when the family photo was taken, you can see the unfortunate Kai standing oddly on the ground. Mutsumi is pleased to see the picture, which she files in the album and keeps. Just that. Please subscribe if you enjoyed it, in order to help the channel. The episode begins with Asano discovers something startling when he opens his school bag and discovers an elderly man inside. As he takes off his school bag, she gives him a wink and inquires about his school day. Asano can only stare at him as he starts talking about how the face ID to the house is reset if you are gone for a year, and that he just jumped in the school bag to be carried here safely rather than dealing with the traps. Astonished, the elderly man remarks that he appears somewhat stiff in front of his new grandchild. However, Aso's mind suddenly clears and he takes out his gun, perceiving the man as an intruder. Despite his objections, he shoots Ban only after Mutsumi shows up to clear things up. Does he think that Ban is actually the Yozakura family's grandfather? As soon as Aka arrives to give the elderly man some towels, the man starts making out with her. He then draws Ayano and Mumi closer and informs them that she has found a kind husband with quick reflexes. In fact, he gives them a wedding present. When Mutsumi asks him if he came all the way for that thick bundle of money, B replies that there is more, but he also says there is something else, saying that it's time for some precious life. He abruptly starts dragging Asano away. But after learning some lessons from Grandpa, he finds himself unexpectedly bound by high spider threads and asks the elderly man, why is he in this place? When Ban inquires as to whether he was not on a mission overseas, he responds that the police gave him an urgent mission to bring the escaped convict from the Yozakura family back. This new information gasps Asano, but Ban informs him that his statements are deceptive. He says he is going to be back soon and wants to have a little fun for a few hours before returning to his permanent station inside the prison to act as a spy and collect information from the criminals who are part of the underworld Ban. That he turns down his request because he is aware that the elderly man is a womanizer who divulges all of his secrets to attractive women when he is intoxicated. For this reason, he is only permitted to leave the prison in case of an emergency. He informs him that his trip is over, and all he asks is that he not become arrogant because he is still his grandfather. He casually navigates through his spider webs before using his watch to set off a smoke bomb. When he has removed the smoke clears Ban and brought a sono with him, the policeman in charge of Bon calls highs and lets him know that he has dispatched a sono to follow the old man. Goliath visits Mami in the interim while carrying a picture of a man and a woman in his mouth, which makes her think of something that will happen later. He gives Ayano a call and informs him of B's superpower, the ability to manipulate his bones to achieve extraordinary flexibility. Since he has amassed so much information over the past few decades, nearly every spy in the world is trying to get him. For this reason, he requests that Asano capture Ban, even if it means physically abusing him. Fortunately, Aso is currently under ban, and they are in a private club where the elderly man is bragging about his resources and knowledge. After giving the girls access to some extremely sensitive material, Nano tries to stop him, but B is able to free himself with ease. He tells Asano that he is too young to stop him, but as soon as he does, Nano's unique stick slime traps him in place. Ban also doesn't find that particularly noteworthy as he undresses and makes love to the girls. He issues a challenge to Asano, threatening to ban dodges in exchange for teaching him Asano charges. When Asano gets tired of all his attempts to subdue him without even breaking a sweat, Bam pats his back and says he will be able to graze him in about 5 years. When Asano questions him about why he had to break out of jail to see them instead of waiting until his mission was finished, he tells him that he had to do it today, and implies that a child like Ayano wouldn't comprehend his motivations. At that moment, the bartender arrives and serves B his preferred beverage. He offers some to Asano as well, but since he isn't old enough to drink, he declines. Asks and labels him a beta male for it. How is he going to bestow upon him such a wonderful grandchild? Asano becomes frightened and bans him. He then proceeds to tease him by telling him explicit stories about him and his wife Kei having sex, while retelling the tale of how his life was meaningless and lonely before he met her. He claims that on a soggy day after being hurt on a mission, Kyo discovered him, and that's what permanently altered his course in life. B claims that he feels his wife was too good for him. He and Asano are similar. He wants to talk to him because he is his senior and was married into the Akira family for that reason. Asano pours him a drink and assures him that everything will be alright. He advises him to live in the moment and not look back. He says that Mutsumi has made him the happiest man alive, and he intends to always treasure and look out for her. B takes a big gulp of the drink, tells Ayano he likes him, and starts to get to know him better. He doesn't even realize that an elderly woman is approaching him quietly. It's only when she wraps unique handcuffs around both of their arms that he becomes aware of her presence. She warns him that these handcuffs will explode if he removes them with force or deceit, since she knew he would be there. If he doesn't want him to blow off his wife's hands, she asks him to behave properly. There is also Mutsumi's arrival. He then introduces the elderly woman as Grandma Ku and apologizes to Asano for being late. Sono is astonished because, based on Ban's account, he believed that EK had passed away, but this is untrue, clinging to his wife. The case Ban informs her that he has ordered her favorite drink as well. Earlier, he had asked the girls what gifts they would like to get her. Despite his sobbing and protest, Kei refuses to give in to him because it's their anniversary and discreetly returns him to prison. When Asano says he finally understands why the old man escaped from prison today, Mutsumi responds that she only realized it after seeing the photo of them as children. Asano then says he understands Grandpa's feelings as well, which causes Mutsumi to blush. She heard Ao talking about how she has made him the happiest man while she was hiding earlier, and she felt those sentiments deeply. She takes hold of his hand. Day after day, Mutsumi displays Asano. Here are a few photos of Ku and Ban, who were able to get his wife to go on a date before he was sent back to prison. Asano claims that being romantic is a lesson that everyone can take away from the Ban. Even in advanced years, a few days later, Ban finds himself breaking out of prison once more to visit his family. However, only the maid, Ayakai, is present, as everyone else has left for their monthly shopping excursion. After dining at a posh restaurant for lunch, everyone has afternoon plans. Hai tries to leave first, but Fuda grabs his hand, claiming that he is the oldest son and should pay the bill. She gives him an adorable and naive look, but he insists he will only pay for Emzum's bill. As soon as he sees that, he pays for everyone's food, and everyone leaves. Asano thinks back to the days he spent visiting the mall with his family. He answers Misami's call for attention by asking her, what will they purchase today? She gives him a rundown of some standard grocery items, but she finishes with grenades and ammunition. She purchases some grenades from a concealed device in the mall, and she's not laughing about it. Then they head to the mall's Starbucks, where Misami places an order-asking iron tapioca coffee in 100 kg. Although Asano is perplexed, the barista complies with her request and gives them 100 kg of rifle ammunition. When Asano eventually learns about this location, Misami confirms that it is a store where spies, assassins, and other underworld members can purchase supplies. However, Shin and Shinzo are at the shop of a weak elderly man who offers them a chip that will aid in their processing. Details from the antiquated memory ball, Shinzo is having trouble deciding which gun to purchase from his store. Shin, though, is aware of his habits. She instructs him to choose the left hand. In the meantime, Futaba is receiving a vigorous massage from a muscular grandma who advises her to take better care of her body since it appears that Fuda has been overworking herself. Conversely, Nanao is purchasing concentrated cyanide pills, and Kango is purchasing face packs to guarantee that his skin remains smooth even after donning numerous disguises. In the interim, he trespasses into an enigmatic bookstore and purchases an extremely rare horror book. Asano also visits a specialty laundry where standard clothing is rendered bulletproof and bloodstains are removed. Abruptly, a sobbing girl grabs his arm and calls out for her father. Asano explains to the girl that she lost her parents in the mall before taking her to Mutsumi. As Mutsumi tries to console Sudu, she finds out that her dad was taken away downstairs by some ominous figures. When Mutsumi hears that, she becomes alarmed and activates a secret code on the elevator, which leads them to the building's hidden basement, where they are taken by something that is too edgy and dark for the main mall. Downstairs, it looks like something out of a dystopian scene, which shocks Asano. As they continue strolling, the girl hears her father calling out for assistance. Surprised, he is being forced to perform their dirty work once more by his former boss, who tries to intimidate him when he doesn't comply. Asano, his eyes out, just stuns by shooting him. The boss brings Suzu back to her father. They should leave right away, Masami advises, but all of a sudden she discovers that trouble is all around them. The head of the Akira family is not someone who should be trifled with, but they know that Aso is wanted and they come charging to get him. When the low-lives jump him, he panics, but he quickly intervenes and deals with the situation. Will the assailants arrive at once? When Asano first sees him, he is relieved to see the book in his hands. He understands that's a collection of torture techniques and that he's going to test them on him. The Baldi believes that the odds are still in their favor, even though the Ellies are hesitant to attack him at this point. At that moment, the remaining members of the Akira family also show up, and they make use of their unique powers to swiftly eliminate every criminal in a single stroke. As soon as they ride the elevator to the main building, the building begins to collapse due to their reckless behavior. As the mall fades into the distance, they head home. And so the episode concludes. Stay tuned for new anime adventures, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive all the latest updates.